Well, here, it's not showing up on the TV. Okay, I'll start. Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the June 30th meeting of the UDRB. I'm going to go ahead and unmute.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We have attendees in the lobby who are watching us. We have 3 items this morning. One moment, I apologize. Okay, good morning, everybody. Again, welcome to the meeting for the UDRB for June 30th. I'm Vicky Toronto with the Planning Department. We are going to begin today's agenda with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Bermello, are you ready?
Good morning. Yes, I'm ready. Does everybody hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I will now do roll call. Ignacio Permui.
Present.
Robin Bosco.
Present.
Anthony Tismaces.
He's muted.
Anthony, unmute yourself.
Let me see if I
Yes.
yes, there you are. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it was muted by the host.
I apologize for that.
No problem. I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lydia Labrada.
Present.
Robert Behar.
No, we're here.
Mr. Bermello.
Present.
Neil Hall. And Mr. Dean Lewis. Okay, we have quorum. I do want to note Mr. Del Perez is not going to be making it today, so I will be requesting a waiver on his behalf. Can I get a motion approving the waiver?
Motion to approve the waiver.
Second.
Motion approved. Thank you. I believe now on the agenda is the chairman's statement. So, Mr. Bermello, if you can go ahead and start the statement, please.
Pursuant to Executive Order number 2069, extended by the Executive Order number 2139, issued by the Office of the Governor, Ron DeSantis, on June 3rd, 2020, municipalities may conduct meetings of their governing boards without having a quorum of its members present physically or at any specific location, and utilizing communications media technology such as telephonic or video conferencing as provided by Section 120.4.54, subparagraph 5, subparagraph B2 of Florida statutes. Procedures for the public comment will be explained by the Assistant City Attorney shortly. The members of the Urban Development Review Board appearing remotely for this meeting are as follows: Mr. Robin Bosco, Mr. Ignacio Permui, Mr. Anthony Tismaces, Mr. Robert Behar, and Ms. Lydia Inez Labrada. Madam Assistant City Attorney, can you please state the procedures to be followed during this meeting?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the city clerk and comply with related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the Urban Development Review Board. A person may be a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of the code section about lobbyists is available in the city clerk's office or online on www.municode.com. Notice of this virtual meeting was provided per the city code, including posting notice 5 days in advance of the city's administrative building in accordance with section 62-59F of the city code. Any person may be heard by the Urban Development Review Board through the chair and upon registering pursuant to the published notice for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the board unless notified by the chair. Since this is a meeting as authorized by the governor of the state of Florida, members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by visiting miamigov.com/virtual boards to upload their video comments or to submit their written comments via the online comment form. Members of the public may also call 305-250-5343 to provide comments via the dedicated City of Miami public comment voicemail. All comments submitted will be included as part of the public record for this virtual meeting and will be considered by the board prior to any action taken. The city will accommodate any speakers desiring to appear in person, subject to all applicable emergency measures in place to prevent any further spread of COVID-19. Speakers who appear in person will be subject to screening for symptoms of COVID-19. Any person exhibiting any symptoms of COVID-19 will not be permitted to enter City Hall. All interested parties are required to abide by all state, county, and local emergency orders and are urged to remain at home and practice social distancing. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such later date before the board takes action on such proposition. When addressing the board, the member of the public must first state his or her name, his or her address, and what item will be spoken about. When the board takes action on votes on any proposition before it shall do so by a roll call vote, which shall be recorded by the liaison and included in the record. A video of this meeting may be requested at the Office of Communications or view online at www.miamigov.com. Please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aid, and services for this meeting may notify the city liaison. Please note, board members may have generally been briefed by city staff on items on the agenda today. Access to meetings. The city is using Zoom to hold its June 30th, 2020 virtual UDRB board meeting. Zoom is a cloud platform for video and audio conferencing, collaboration, chat, and webinars across mobile devices, desktops, telephones, and room systems. In order to ensure that the public has ability to view the meeting, the city's communication department will broadcast the meeting through all the usual channels and avenues that are provided when a meeting is held fully in chambers at City Hall. The meeting can be viewed live on Miami TV at miamigov.com/TV, through the city's YouTube channel or Comcast Channel 77 within the city of Miami. The broadcast will also have closed captioning. Additionally, the city has not selected a virtual platform that requires the public to purchase or download any additional software or equipment to watch this meeting. Aside from the Zoom platform that the participants will be appearing remotely, the public will have no discernible difference in their ability to watch the meeting. Public comment. The city has developed several new methods ensuring public comment for a virtual meeting. It has established 3 new options for this meeting. 1, the first new option allows to provide public comment via the dedicated City of Miami public comment voicemail by calling 305-250-5343, where the individuals are able to leave a 2-minute message that will be played during the virtual board meeting. 2, the second new option allows for public comment, for the public to submit a 2-minute video to be played during the virtual board meeting. The third new option allows the public to submit comments via the city's online comment form. The comments submitted to the comment form, if any, have been distributed to the board members and city staff throughout the day so that the board members may consider the comments prior to taking any action. Additionally, the online comment form will remain open during the meeting to accept comments and distribute the board members up until the chairperson closes public comment. For all of the aforementioned options, all the comments received will be included in the public record of the meeting. For these 3 new options, the city also created a set of instructions explaining how the public may submit their comments with either option. Those instructions were provided in the notice in the public and published online at miamigov.com/virtual boards. Additionally, like any other UDRB meeting, the public may provide public comment at City Hall. The city set up a terminal in the event members of the public travel to City Hall to provide public comment. However, due to COVID-19, all speakers desiring to appear in person will be subject to all applicable emergency measures in place to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. Speakers who appear in person will be subject to screening for symptoms of COVID-19. Any person exhibiting any symptoms of COVID-19 will not be permitted to enter City Hall, but will be able to participate through the remote options described above. These 4 public comment options established and provided for this virtual meeting comply with Section 287.0114 and Section 120.54 of the Florida statutes. The city has published an agenda as well as included in the notice to the public pursuant to our city code and the items and topics that will be discussed at this virtual board meeting. Additionally, the public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting. The terminal at City Hall and the online public comment form and within reasonable proximity and time before the meeting and during via the public comment, voicemail, online public comment form, and the public comment video upload option. Moreover, Section 286.0114, subsection 4C, Florida statute specifically authorizes the city to prescribe procedures or forms for an individual to use in order to inform the board or commission of a desire to be heard, to indicate his or her support, opposition, or neutrality on a proposition. The city, through its 4 public comment options, has 4 different procedures and forms to indicate, among other things, his or her support, opposition, and neutrality on the items and topics to be discussed at this virtual city board meeting. The city provided information on how to submit its comments in the notice to the public on a dedicated webpage and via certain social media channels. Board members, are you comfortable with the notice provisions set forth and these uniform rules of procedure we have established for this virtual meeting?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Vicky, I think you're speaking, but you're muted.
I apologize. Okay, so now we're going to move to adopt the minutes from the February 19th, 2020 meeting. I do not have the ones yet for the May meeting. I will have that prepared for the next agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Everybody say aye.
Aye.
Nay. Everybody's on mute.
I'm not.
Okay. So are the meeting minutes approved?
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody's calling for a
Someone's
timeout.
saying time out.
Unmute yourself.
It's not
You're-
working.
I'm asking to unmute him. There we go.
Okay, I was muted by through the entire process, so
Sorry about that.
That's not a bad.
That's part of getting our our things.
Mr.
you know. But I heard everything that the
Passman.
assistant city attorney said, and I agreed with their comments.
We have someone else that's trying to be unmuted. I think you
I
should
don't-
turn the option off. Because whenever they press it, they're not able to come back unless you allow it.
Okay, I apologize.
Yes. What happened in my case is that I muted myself so that I did
Correct.
not hear any noise. and
So
then I
turn
could
off
not
the
get-
option to allow everyone to speak at this point.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Now you can unmute yourself.
Now we can I would suggest that
Okay.
we be muted until we are each going to speak. Otherwise, there's background noise that's going to go through.
So we adopt, so the meeting minutes are adopted.
You have to do the vote.
Oh, can I get I'm sorry, I apologize on that.
Motion for approval.
Already, you're seconding it? Okay. I believe the first one was Mr. Permewing, first, Mr. Behar, second, so can I get a vote? So, Mr. Permewing,
Yes.
Mr. Bosco,
Yes.
Mr. Anthony Samvises,
Samsies,
I'm sorry, sir.
no problem. Yes.
Miss Villa Labrada, Ms. Labrada, do you,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
You didn't ask me, Vicky.
I haven't gotten to you yet, sir, I'm sorry about that.
Oh.
Mr. Vermello?
Yes, you're talking about the February 16th meeting minutes?
Correct, yes.
Yes.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Okay, we're gonna move on to the first item. The first item is file ID 7570. It is a resolution recommending to the Director of the Planning Department approval or denial for the project located at 2400, 2412, and 2418 North Miami Avenue and 29 Northwest 24th Street. I am now going to move in the participants and add them as panelists.
Vicky, there's background noise. Could
Yeah, I'm not
could
sure
I
where
ask
that's
the
coming
people that
from.
are not talking to mute themselves?
I think it's coming from
Is it-
City Hall.
Oh, let me mute that one. There we go. Okay. Or is there, the applicants in the room?
Hi, Vicky. Good morning. Steve
Good
Warren.
morning, Steve. How are you?
Doing well. All right.
Is Kobe in the room as well?
I believe he is. And the two of us will be our main presenters.
Okay.
Would you like me to go ahead and start?
I have one question though. I was looking at the, lobby registration for Mr. Karp and it does not bear the stamp of the city clerk.
Stamp the city clerk.
Yeah, when it's something, there's submitted at City Hall to the clerk's office, it's stamped having been received.
The stamped return
Yes.
copy. Is
Yes,
that
Mr.
something
Carpenter.
that we can provide to you after, like, later today?
That's something
I
I
think
have
it-
to ask my attorney.
Do you have it?
I have a copy of it, but it's not with the stamp from the city clerk's office.
But was it submitted to the city clerk's office? Mr. Wernick?
Oh, I believe so. We can work on getting a copy from the clerk's office of the stamped copy.
As long as this was submitted, then we should be
Yeah.
fine to proceed.
I'm being told it was submitted last week,
Okay.
Thursday. So we can get a stamped copy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So, my name's Steve Warnick from Warnick & Co. I'm the Land Use Counsel for EEFC 2400 NMA Owner LLC, which is an affiliate of East End Capital, the applicant for this project. This is a 12-story mixed-use residential building proposed within the Wynwood Neighborhood Revitalization District. Here with me today is the project architect, Kobe Carp. We also have Andres Arcilla from Natural Official. Our development team is on standby if for some reason there is some question, but I don't think they're actively going to participate in this virtual meeting. So first of all, thank you for meeting in this format. I know it's not ideal. It's not ideal for us. I'm sure it's not ideal for you, especially when we're talking about design, and materials and all of that. We always are excited to come to you at City Hall, but we very much appreciate, because we know this is a volunteer capacity. We're on June 30th. This isn't your normal date. We had made a presentation to the Wynwood Design Review Committee, because this project's in Wynwood, back in March, on March 10th, 2 days before the state of emergency went into effect. So we were anticipating to be before you back in March. So we've kind of been cheering for the transition to the virtual meeting, knowing that we're in a different world now. But we're here and excited to be here. And I'll tell you a little bit about the project site, give a quick development summary, and then I'll turn it over to Kobe. So this site is the old downtown tow yard site in Wynwood. It is 2400 North Miami Avenue. It has 3 frontages on Northwest 24th Street, Northwest 25th Street, and the west side of North Miami Avenue. It is in the heart of the North Miami Avenue corridor of the Neighborhood Revitalization District, which for the last few years has been kind of slowly coming around. Most of the projects in Wynwood have been over by 2nd Avenue or west of 2nd Avenue. So it's exciting to see some projects starting to come up on Miami Avenue. The zoning here is T680 within the NRD1 overlay, which permits 8 stories by right up to 12 stories with bonus height through participation in the NRD1 public benefits program. We have a future land use designation of general commercial, which allows a range of residential and non-residential uses up to 150 units an acre. The project is proposed as a 12-story multifamily residential building, 236 apartments, and includes a mix of unit types ranging from small studios to 4+ bedrooms. Wynwood has seen a lot of different types of residential projects coming in. It's not your typical neighborhood. It's been really interesting to see how those projects evolve. And one of the things that I think is unique about this project is the mix of indoor-outdoor amenity spaces. A lot of the initial projects in Wynwood have been very, very urban, very tight. Here, we've got the building at different heights, providing different amenity spaces, opening to the outdoors with the deck, also inside the building with an office amenity space for the residents, juice bar, some different programming that might even adapt as we go forward. And, you know, we'll see where we are in 6 months, 12 months from now. But the building is really set up to accommodate that kind of change as needed. There's little over 12,000 square feet of ground floor commercial space. As I mentioned, on the 6th story, a small office component that's really geared to the residents. 5 levels of on-site enclosed parking, all screened behind liner units, which is a little different than other projects in Wynwood. The project definitely takes its cues from the spirit of Wynwood. The applicant is going to reimagine this former tow yard site, which is still completely blocked off from the neighborhood, basically in the state it was in, 5-10 years ago when it stopped operating as a tow yard. So this really symbolizes the transformation of the former industrial district into a mixed-use walkable neighborhood. It's a catalyst type project because it is a larger site, and it also it will be implementing the Wynwood Streetscape Master Plan and some of the new standards that are still kind of going through the process. But we fully intend to comply with that Streetscape Master Plan as soon as it's finalized. The project also has a contribution to the public benefits program, which would be dollars that would be allocated into the neighborhood for additional improvements, green space, et cetera. Some of those dollars go towards affordable and workforce housing as well, the way the code is set up. So the review process, again, we were at the Wynwood Design Review Committee back on March 10th. And I bring that up because we received a recommendation for approval. We also did have a few suggested enhancements to the project that they wanted us to explore. Because we were not able to immediately come and present that same set of plans to you all, we met with staff and kind of said, maybe we should take this time to work on enhancing the project, addressing some of those comments. They dealt with enhancing vertical and horizontal elements, kind of better defining the facades, activating the ground floor commercial in additional ways, adding additional artistic interventions, which we've done at the corners of the project, and also exploring new railing materials for the balconies. So the last thing I'll say is, I think with this upheaval in the economy that we've seen, certainly not every project that was moving through the pipeline has continued. This project has been solid. We have not really paused unless we've been forced to. We've tried to use this time to enhance the project, but we have every intention, and East End has every intention of moving forward with the project. They have a lot of experience in the neighborhood. They're probably one of the larger landowners that's been in Wynwood for several years. They have sound financial support in the project. So we're very excited to move forward, and we're excited to get your feedback. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Kobe.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, I'd like to say I'm very happy to see everybody here healthy and safe. It's a pleasure to see you all here, and I'm so happy to see you. If you allow me, I'd like to share a screen with you. Is that okay? The host needs to connect me to allow me to share the screen. And then I'll be able to show you some of the graphics that we previously presented. We're waiting for that to happen. Share a screen.
Let me, is it giving you the option to do it now?
Yeah, it says host disabled participant. Hang on, Vicky. All right, I'm in.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much. This one? Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yes.
So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time. This is the image at the ground level. So our site, as Mr. Warnick has mentioned so eloquently, is sitting on North Miami Avenue between 24 and 25th Street. It is currently being or has been used, as you can see, for these functions. It is an important location on North Miami Avenue. We met with staff and the neighbors. Everybody felt that there is an opportunity here on this site to make it a more open, tropical, urban connection between 24 and 25th. Not only along North Miami Avenue, which obviously is more important, which is why we carved out the corners on 24, carved out the corners even more so on 25th Street, and introduced not only the commercial spaces, but also some amenity and lobby in these areas, but also wrap it around in a very genteel kind of a fashion where people can walk within the landscaping and sit in a nice protected area and walk onto the site. We felt that there is a greater opportunity to make the site porous and really create a more landscaped area from 25th Street to 24th Street, and really create a nice anchor to North Miami Avenue. At the same time, I'll just take you through the building quickly if you give me a second. We're setting it back. We have a mezzanine parking. We have a typical parking level here with our studios wrapping around. This is level 2 through 5. This continues on to where we have a large amenity area, because obviously as the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, the building steps down into this direction, meaning towards 24th Street. and offers us sort of a unique stepping up effect right here. So this is level 9 through 12, but as you can see, level 6 is the amenity area, and 7 and 8 is the U, but then at 9, 10, 11, and 12, it steps up in a way to reveal a massing, if you will, that shows you something along these kind of a guidelines. We worked on a number of ideas and a breaking up of different prototypes of the units that we have, and they wanted to express them on the outside. So when people walk along, they can say, oh, look, my apartment is here or my unit is here, and there's a clear architectural geometry that we played with on the facade, throughout the building, throughout the facade, and also in relating it to, this is North Miami Avenue, and this is 24th Street at the ground level. This is a close-up as well of the commercial metalwork and fenestration we're looking. And again, this is another view looking down 25th Street with the pocket park on this corner and the entry right here for the vehicles on 25th Street. And then create basically a building that the WDRC liked the direction, liked the massing and the way it steps up. We played with the geometries of the metal aluminum railing. We're still playing with it. We're looking at unique opportunities to really create interesting geometries on the facade. This is the penetration that goes from 24th to 25th Street right here. And you can see that it has a nice corner treatment, and it wraps all the way back here away from North Miami Avenue. These are some of the metal meshes that we have been looking at, and close up, and that's it. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm here with any questions and or suggestions.
Kobe, this is Willie Bermejo. How are you?
Hi, Willie. How you feeling?
Great. You and your family doing well?
Thank God. Thank God. I love your flag.
Listen, I'm very happy that you're with us today, and could you go back to the ground floor a second?
Yes, sir. Hold on. Give me a second. It's moving towards that direction. Just needs a little bit of time.
By the way, while you're doing that, I'd like to ask Vicky a question. Vicky, if there are members of the board that would like to receive hard copies of these packages, is there a process by which the city can still allow that for those members that still may like the traditional feel of paper and looking at a set of drawings?
Mr. Bermello, as of right now, staff does not have access to MRC, the Miami Riverside Center, but it is something that I will bring up to my supervisors and see if there's something that can be done.
Yes, because, we all receive packages at home from Amazon and, UPS, and I'm sure there must be some creative way that the different applicants for, minimum cost for those members that want it,
Yeah, understood.
So maybe something for future discussion. So, Kobe, can you just quickly walk us through the plan again in terms of the retail in the back of house? You have a number of very nice amenities. You have the cafe, you have the bike room. Can you highlight that a little bit more for the group? Because remember, since we don't have the drawings, at least for me to go back to my link where I have the drawings, I get disconnected. We kind of need to use you as a prop, as opposed to when we were doing this live and each of us had a set of drawings that we could be going back and forth on.
Yes,
so
sir.
If you could do that, it'd be great.
Yes, sir. So in essence, what we have is we have a covered amenity plaza on North Miami Avenue, right here, and 25th Street, which has an ability to have, we have a residential lobby, which then connects us with a little juice bar and a gym area. There's a staircase here that also takes you up to a mezzanine level, because what we wanted to do is created a 2-story volumes along the corner, right here and right here. And then we wanted a float right here, an amenity gym area, which allows people to look back down onto the street and really have eyes on the street and engage 25th and 24th. At the same time, we have right here bike racks. We have kept the retail function office trash room in the back. That's the gray area here, and the main electrical room with our FP&L room. We put a little green space adjacent to it. The landscape architect felt that there is an opportunity then to soften that up in a 3-dimensional way. And then what we did also, we introduced additional glazed and retail on the west side of the property here, so that people come onto the next block, hopefully have a continuation of that facade. And we did it on 24th Street, and we did it also on 25th Street. So that people, if they have a retail or if they want to grab a juice or something, they can come and they can actually sit out here and enjoy it. Because this is the north face of the building, so it'll be shaded most of the time. And that's also why we liked putting the covered amenity area in this location. We continued a line of landscaping right here in the middle to soften up the edge and give shade, especially at sunrise. This area gets a little bit sunny, and we wanted people to feel comfortable. So what we did is we held it back a little bit from the street. So if we put some tables and chairs out here outside, people can sit outside and have their cafecito or their juices along the retail or the food and beverage. Again, we made a notch right here, and this notch is to create an opportunity for sitting area. We then further felt that it might be an opportunity to continue that same language of landscaping in the middle, put a cluster on 24th Street and put a cluster towards the corner, and so that hopefully it continues to, to melt down the street. But interesting, we did the same thing on this side right here. There is basically a desire in this development. This developer, we did Wynwood 25 for. So they are very keen on making an urban solution that works very well architecturally and, most important, also from a landscape standpoint. And that's part of their DNA and their whole thought process. And you can see how they're bringing people in, how they're bringing the bike rooms with plenty of bike storage right into the heart of the project. And it really becomes more of a porous site. So it is a very unique shape at the ground level. A lot of time we went back and forth, as Mr. Warnick mentioned, with the WDRC, and they had comments as well, and we were very happy for their comments because many of their comments were quite good. So we were able to implement those comments into the design, and I feel that it has been very positive gestures.
Is there an emergency generator for this building?
Yes, sir. There is an emergency generator. It's, give me a second. And if you go right here to the mezzanine, this is where the gym area, this is the 2-story. So right here, we have this whole area right above. That's going to be the generator area.
Kobe, this is micro units, what you have upstairs, those, what you call the 4 and the 6 bedroom units. Are those basic people that are, is this rental or condo?
Rental.
And so those people are renting basically a room and they're sharing a room with 5 others or 3 others in the case of 4?
You're talking about the larger units that have?
Yes, the ones that are at the end that say 6 bedroom. And so my question was gonna be, is there also like a laundry facility? Or these people go to do their laundry and that kind of, maybe a dry cleaning drop off or?
Can you hear me? In the units themselves?
Oh, so it's already included in there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. In looking at some of the elevations, I saw that there are a number of elevation sections that were left like undefined for future artwork. Is that something that when you met with the committee in Wynwood, it's something that you're gonna push down because you still are not sure, but you're making a commitment that there'll be something there?
Yeah, so most projects in Wynwood are coming in with a lot of surface area for murals and may take up a lot of room. And when they see that sort of project, they are looking for more information, or are you going to hire a curator? They want to know a little bit more. I think in this project, because there are sculptural artistic interventions at the corners, and we actually added a second one, and also on that east facade. Here, they're kind of complementary and not the showcase. And I think that's more comfortable to them, that they're not the kind of prize art. It's really largely on the interior lot line and little spaces on the, I think, like the north facade. So they were comfortable with how it complements the project, that they could be rotating, canvases.
The element that's shown in the darker color that it's kind of jutting out, is that the office component on the amenity deck?
Yes, and that was originally a lighter material, and they wanted to see that contrast. So that was one of the enhancements that was made after we presented to WDRC.
So my question to you would be, in the office, it looks like it has the same floor-to-floor height as a regular apartment. And usually the apartments would be a 10-foot floor-to-floor. I'm not sure here if it's 10 foot or 9.8.
Willie,
how do you address an office environment where you have such low ceilings?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right here, I don't know if you can see my screen. So
Yes.
this is 14 feet high, Willie. And
Okay.
then, and how tall is my typical floor here, Taylor? 12.8. I got 12.8 typical for the apartment, sir.
Okay, so that level is 14.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, that answers that question. Good, okay. Do any members of the board have comments or questions of?
Yes.
I do. How do you want to do the process? Do you want to give everybody an opportunity, or?
Yes, I think, Robert, I think that would be the best way, and those that are more anxious go first, and those that are still thinking about comments can go towards the latter, and not everybody has to speak. I mean, but
Okay, give us the chance. Give us a chance to speak.
Yeah. So you want to go first, Robert?
All right. Kobe, good to see you again. Hope everybody's doing well, and difficult times, that we'll get through it. Can you go back to the ground floor a second, please?
Yes, Robert, right away.
And let me commend, I think you've done a very nice job in this project. I like it a lot. I think the way you have addressed the street is very, very nice. I think you have activated all three streets in a very nice way. One area that I'm very concerned, I don't think it really functions at all, is the service, the trash, particularly the trash area. When you have your trash, and basically you're gonna have to take out your trash containers to the street to have the truck service them. Because I was looking at your elevations of the building, you only have on the ground floor is 15 feet clear, or maybe even less. So therefore, when you pull up the trash, and you got to go from the residential trash room, you have to take it out the quarter to your through the internal drive, which is very nice. Pull it out. You cannot do it in the loading zone. You have to take it out to the street to do for the trash truck to do the maneuvering.
Is he correct?
And I have a concern with that because you're basically, one is the distance that the trash has to go out to the street, and then all the function happens on the right of way. Can you explain that to me, how you see that functioning?
Can you hear me, Robert?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, so Taylor, how tall of a space do I have here clear?
13 clear.
And over here, where the loading area is?
13.
All right, good. So,
Look at your mezzanine floor. So you have your ramp over that area. So you will not be able to carve it out so you could get a truck to do the maneuvering. You need like 23 feet to do that.
right. So what we have right now is, how are we dealing with this, Taylor? We're bringing the truck over here and then bringing it over here, right?
Yeah, we do have the double height carved out space on the south portion of the internal paseo as well, and we'll continue to study that with waste management. And
But you have, how many units is this, Kobe? This project?
236.
And you have, I don't know, X amount of, some units have 6 bedrooms. And you have a little residential trash room that is 480 square feet, according to this. And you have to drag those containers through your internal paseo. I don't know. It seems to me that maybe the loading area, trash room, needs to be relooked at, because everything else is working very nice. I think the ground floor is working, with the exception of that, very nicely. And I think, by the way, the elevation looked very, very nice, very good. So I think that's a concern to me, is how the surface really functions in this building.
No, Roberto, I think you have a very valid point, and I think Taylor and I are just sitting here talking, and we're going to study and flip these around potentially and get more square footages in there. Absolutely. We'll take care of that. We'll take care of that. Absolutely. Right here, you can flip these around, eh?
Robert, is that it?
Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you very much for your comments, sir. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Too.
Anthony, Robin?
Anthony, hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Anthony.
Yes.
How are you?
Okay, Kobe, hello, how are you? Thank you very much for your presentation. You did a great job.
Thank you.
I think that the project is very well developed. I have a basic comment to say that has to do with that Robert Baer called it the internal paseo. I'm very familiar with the nature of the 2 streets, 24th and 25th. They're narrow streets that are flanked, but very small. Some are older, some are newer, especially on 24th. Small restaurants, small bars, nothing greater than 2 stories. As far as I know, I have a friend who has a restaurant on 24th also. I don't remember seeing that much traffic on 24th and 25th. They're very pedestrian streets. They're streets with a lot of activity at night. And this through street is not really a pedestrian link between 2 streets, but it's a driveway. It's the main vehicular in and out of the building. And I have an issue with that. I just don't know if that street really belongs there, connecting traffic on 24th to 25th. I don't know what I would have done, but it sort of like doesn't belong to that. The traffic doesn't belong there. It should be the concept of having this as a pedestrian link would be magnificent. With the retails, as you mentioned, with the landscaped areas and stuff, but I don't think it will be utilized by people because there is a cover above you. It's a tunnel. It's cars going in and out. So I think the edges would work. The edge of the retail area on 24th and the edge of the retail on 25th, they would work because of the vicinity of the street and stuff. But nothing in my judgment would work once you're past that point. Now, where would you put the entrance to your building? I don't know. Maybe Miami Avenue would have made a bigger sense. It's a wider street. It has 4 lanes. Otherwise, I think you did a great job with the articulation of the building, with the playfulness of the balconies and the volumes and stuff. So you've done a very good job. I just have an issue with vehicular traffic going 24th or 25th. Thank you.
Anthony, thank you very much for your comment. Let me just give you a little bit of background. We had the same discussions previously also with staff. And that's why at the end of the day, they felt the same as you did and they restricted our entry here and the exit here, only an out seat right here onto 24, so that pedestrian will be able to walk, through the site, whether they're coming for the retail or they're coming for our residential lobby. And I think I think you are correct. I think that that's why also the residential lobby and that, that whole circulation area over here promotes that kind of drop off. I think that the pedestrian, ultimately, you are correct. It's a pedestrian circulation, and we wanted the pedestrian to come, walk through here, walk through the landscape, continue through. Look, I think that I would like to make sure that it is not, I would like to find ways to improve this area, right? This rendering is just the beginning of it. But I think that at the end of the day, when you look at the way we treated the Wynwood 25 Passage Paseo that connects the 2 streets, it became a very important destination for the project. I'm trying to go back to the ground level. But your comments are very well, Anthony. Let me study that and let me see what I can do on that.
Perhaps the west property line should be, I don't know, the west, maybe there should be a way to walk along the west property line with landscaping and stuff, so that I don't think it's very inviting to walk into a space that has a cover above you that there is like the fumes of cars and stuff. I don't know. I would like to see a portion of that completely without a cover above and with landscaping and more friendly to pedestrians because of the nature of 24th and 25th, which are very pedestrian-oriented streets.
Yep. Okay.
Is that it?
Greetings, everybody. Joining late, Dean Lewis.
For the record, Dean Lewis is joining us at 10:56.
Okay.
This is Kia Labrada. I just have a quick question. Thank you again for the presentation. You had mentioned early on that you had stepped back from the facade, just the elevation, and I'm not seeing that. I was hoping that you can help me. Other than the corner on the ground floor, can you kind of visually point that out for me? At what level does this step back happen?
Well, we go to the rendering from the south on North Miami Avenue.
So what happens is that we have the parking behind this liner right here. What we have done is the stepping back of the building itself is right here, yet the corner pullback is right here on 24th Street. And then we did another pullback. This is a close-up of that corner treatment on 24th Street.
Mhm.
And then also from right here on 25th Street, under this area right here, it's notched out even further. So as the building does step up, and this pops out right here, the office, our niche is right here. This is the little juice cafe and lobby, and that's the gym. And then pedestrian would come, and this is the other retail on 25th Street. And then here's a close-up, if I may, of the same. And you have a covered seating area that faces to the east and to the north. And this is the retail that goes further to the west. And then this is our lobby. The gym would be here with a staircase to the upper level, to the mezzanine level as well. It's also, if you just give me a second, I'll take you back to the ground level and I will be able to show you. And here you can see how we stepped up. So this is level 7, level 8. And then that's the amenity area carved out. But then level 9, the building steps up. 9 and then 10, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Can you see my little hand on the bottom right-hand side? So this is
Yes.
level 9, 10, 11, and 12, so that you get more light and air coming here along a southern axis between east and west. And this is the landscaped terrace area. And furthermore, what we did then is, yeah, you have it stepping up here, but let me get you to the ground level. If you just give me 1 second, Ligia, I'll put you over there. I'm trying to get, oh, I went the other direction, right, Taylor? That's what happens when you're 58 years old.
Wow, 58 already.
Yeah, 58, Dean. You know, time flies when you're having fun, you know?
I believe it.
Sorry. Yeah,
Excuse me one moment. Dean, you have to put your camera on, please.
Yes, my camera's not working. I'm sorry. I'm working on that. I'll get that shortly.
Okay.
So this is, Ligia, to your point. So we carved out this corner right here as a covered amenity area with a landscaped and seating area. Then we also carved out this corner on 24th and North Miami Avenue. And then we made a notch here as well. And then we made more carving outs along 25th Street, right here where the retail is and where the residential.
Yeah, the ground floor was, so the ground floor was clear. It was more on the elevation side, on the North Miami side. I just feel like lately with all the new construction that's going on, in particular, it just kind of hit me a couple of weeks ago. I hadn't been driving around, and the project just north of 29th Street seems to be really close. And my first impression when I saw the renderings of the North Miami Ave side seemed like the massing was pretty big. And so you had mentioned that setback, and a couple of the perspectives that you showed, you know, with the different designs on the elevation, I think are great. But I think I wish I would have seen a little more setback on the North Miami side, so you wouldn't have such a big mass. But overall, I think the project on the ground floor for pedestrian access and activation is very sensible.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ligia. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Kobe, Ignacio, how are you?
How are you?
Okay. First, I would like to commend the development team and Mr. Karp on a job very well done. I think this project, from all angles, basically from the massing to the exterior articulation, I specifically like the pedestrian treatment. I think you did an excellent job defining the corners and enhancing the pedestrian experience. And also you did bring in a lot of different elements, colors, and different articulation to the elevations. But I think this is one of the better projects where you do have a lot of different elements, and the way they're brought together, I think, is extremely well done. So I'd like to commend you on that.
Thank
I
you.
think it's a very good example.
Thank you so much for your comments. Very appreciative.
That's it for me. Very good job.
Yes.
Any other comments? Robin?
Yes. Yeah, this is Robin Bosco. Hi, Kobe. Good to see you again.
Hi, Robin. Good to see you. Glad to see you here. So glad.
Yes. I agree with all the accolades of this project. It's very well thought out and, will be an asset to the area. I have one simple thing that's still puzzling me a little bit about this through pedestrian and vehicular drive that's been discussed. And, looking at the screenshot that you have up now, the rendering shows, quite a simple view of someone, I believe it's taken from the south looking north, that is inviting for pedestrian to walk through. But can you articulate a little better the patterning there? Because the pattern that I see, is a little confusing as establishing a real pedestrian thoroughfare there.
Yeah, so very good comment. So basically for us, and we're working on the artwork because the developer would like to make this place a three-dimensional creative paseo so that the ceiling will have art and it'll be uplit and backlit. But basically the idea is this is a paver pattern. And I also have, is Andres on the phone with us, the landscape architect? He can touch on this as well. But in essence, what we're looking to do is to make basically a linear paseo park that would go all the way across, that would allow for the pedestrian movement, but also at the same time allow the vehicles to enter on the north on 25th, Robin, and at that point either go up and down the ramp and or continue straight out as a one-way, only a one-way out. I think that based on the comments I've received here today, we'll have to do some work here specifically on the loading and the trash and so forth. And I think that there is going to be a greater opportunity to bring the pedestrian circulation through here in a more strong fashion. What is also one of the comments that was given to me, which I think we started to talk about offline, what Anthony said is that, like this landscaped area can be open and lit up, and maybe there's a greater potential for the connectivity to bring it across. So I think that's what we're going to do. And if you give me a second, Andres, are you on the phone?
Yes, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Hi, guys. This is Andres Arcila with Natural Facial Landscape Architecture. In regards to the comment, I think conceptually what we're trying to achieve is understanding the network of the street tree and streetscape master plan that's been developed for Wynwood, and how to bring that into the site. So the geometry is slightly different along the verges based on what has been prescribed on the master plans. But I think with that idea, what we're trying to do is bring some of the ground treatments or our own ground treatments into the paseo so that it creates more of sort of pedestrian experience, especially in relation to the residential lobby, and so that it doesn't feel so much just like a driveway for vehicles. I think your comment is valid, and some of the other members too. I think perhaps there's ways that we could look at this a little further to more clearly articulate what would be more for pedestrians versus vehicular, which is something that we put a lot of thought into the paseo that we designed, for example, with Kobe, on Wynwood 25. So I think that one, for example, has been very, very successful in being a very inviting paseo for pedestrians. We see a lot of people are coming there even just to have lunch or to take pictures, selfies, so on and so forth. So it's become a destination point aside from serving the function of having a passage for the vehicles and then an arrival point for the residents.
Yeah, like I said, I appreciate the concept and what have you. I think that, the way it reads, at least in the presentation, there's overlaps for someone walking and, relating to where they should be walking as opposed to where the vehicles should be. It's a little confusing. And if you could just highlight the theme as an overlay of a more predominant ground treatment consistent through so that the pedestrians know for safe passage and what have you, that is where they should primarily walk, even though the pattern could meander and change colors and what have you to create more of the random breakup that you've achieved here.
Robin, you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct.
Understood. The other comment that I will make that we're exploring now, it's really the differences of grade changes. So even if the pedestrian circulation is slightly elevated 4 inches versus what's really designated as the vehicular portion, I think that would help significantly and would allow for the ground treatments, the art treatments to kind of spill over into both areas, but will define the two different sections.
Yeah, I would, feel that would be a good, additional approach to articulate that. But otherwise, like I said, it's look forward to seeing this thing built. And thank you again, Kobe.
Thank you, Robin. Great to see you, my man. Thank you.
Good to see you too.
Are there any other comments?
I just would like to, this is Dean, I'd like to just compliment the architect's efforts bringing this into Wynwood with a fabric and tissue that is in sync and part of the history and future growth and the artistic side of and sculptural side of Wynwood. In addition, I think I just want to remind my colleagues that the paseo and the interaction with the vehicle and drop off and pickup adds a degree of activation that if the traffic is controlled and there's some bollard placements well articulated, of course, and the paving recommendations, it's not always a negative. On the contrary, there are a number of paseos in previous projects we run into that end up with relatively quiet, dead cross-block situations, with the exception of loading that happens, only at specific times of the day. So that is an advantage here. And I mirror hand in glove my colleagues' previous comments, and that's it for me. I'll recommend the project for approval.
Thank you, Dean. Is that a motion?
I'll be glad to make a motion to approve as presented, taking into consideration the seconder's list of comments, because since I arrived late, I don't want to forget or neglect. So my motion is to approve with the few comments taken into consideration in the articulation of the paseo to better harmonize the vehicular loading versus pedestrian experience. Anything else that you may add?
Yeah, there was also a comment from Mr. Behar regarding the trash room, which I think Kobe said that he was definitely going to look into that.
Yes.
And Lygia, I believe you also made some comments. You'll pardon me if I could, where there's a particular area.
It was just a comment. It's not a recommendation or anything.
Okay.
That matter.
Okay.
It wasn't a recommendation. It was just a comment.
Okay. So is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made by Mr. Dean Lewis and seconded by Mr. Ignacio Permui. Are there any further comments on the motion? And if not,
Yes, yes. Can we define a little bit, can we put a little bit more definition on what we are expecting the applicant to do? Where we discussed the trash removal and the handling of the trash in the back, which is, I don't know what they can do about that. And then the whole issue of this rear pedestrian versus vehicular thing and landscaping. I still think that if you allow some passage on the west, along the west, not necessarily being undercover, would work better. Can we define a little bit those issues that, or can we say something about that? What, I mean, should the motion have some language pertaining specific to this? Can somebody repeat what is the language of the motion?
I believe that the language of the motion was for the applicant to go back and review areas in which they could enhance the pedestrian experience as they go through the paseo, which right now is a combined vehicular and pedestrian, but without specifying how that gets done.
For example, for example, I mean, Kobe, if I may suggest something, can we? I don't quite understand that retail area on 24th and the retail area on the 25th. Can we have some area in front of that along 24th and along 25th, like a larger, people gathering area there? Because that's what's happening on 24th and 25th. Those little things have outdoor seating and stuff. It's a very cute experience, and
So
I think we are missing that.
from a zoning perspective, we need to have our frontage at the 5-foot setback for 70%. And that might put us out of compliance, but we do have there the 5 feet, we have a 10-foot clear zone. We do have that 5-foot setback. So there could be some outdoor seating in that area.
Yeah, it should be enhanced. And, from a zoning point of view, also, we have 8 stories and you have 12 stories.
Anthony, this is Kobe. Let me work on it, and I believe I can accommodate your comments. I think I can accommodate the pedestrian clarity and circulation, as you and Robin mentioned. I don't have a problem with it. We'll have it, and we'll be happy to submit it to staff. Those are very good comments. I think certainly can be managed.
Maybe I can offer something that's a little bit helpful for that. Like we were talking about the pedestrian. I heard someone mention to better articulate and define the pedestrian treatment within that paseo. Maybe that language would be helpful to include.
Can we state that again? So it's clear as to what we're saying.
So we can better articulate and define the pedestrian treatment within the cross.
I think we should all be aware of the fact that in order to enhance a pedestrian activity, you must have activities along the path. And you don't have any activities along the path except at the 2 corners.
Well,
so
the Wynwood 25 project does not have any commercial activation, and it's one of the best spaces in Wynwood. We were talking about that earlier, and I think what Andres was saying is using elevations and better defining that space. That's, if I'm in Wynwood, which my office is here, not today because of COVID and everything, but that's where I would go. I mean, that space.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I'm just saying that in order to, you have trash rooms, loading areas, electrical rooms, FPL rooms, stuff. Why would I like to walk through there? That's my point. I like to walk at the edges because of the retail and so, but I wouldn't go through. That's my comment.
Okay, location? Can you
Well-
clarify the trash? What would you like, how would you like that worded within the resolution?
By the way, Vicky, the comment made by Robert, I believe Kobe said that he would look into flipping the two locations, that he agreed with Robert's comments regarding the loading and the unloading of the trash. And unless Robert wants to add more prescriptive how to do it, I think Kobe got it and
Yeah.
agreed with the comment. And I'm more a believer that we allow the architects to do their work, particularly when they're talented and knowledgeable.
Yeah, I think we have articulated all the conditions, and I think we are ready to proceed.
Okay, so
I think we just need a clear motion with everything in it at one time before the vote happens. So, I can try to say, and you guys can agree, I have something written based on everything that was discussed. The motion would be to approve with direction to the architect to review access to enhance the pedestrian experience, and add circulation and potential activities along the pathway, to provide vehicular access specifically in regards to the passage on the west, and access to include loading and unloading for the trash room. I'm not sure if that captures everything, but
I think it's pretty close, Madam City Attorney.
I'm good with that. I'm confident that Kobe will make the necessary adjustment to make this work the way we are, suggesting. So we got a motion. Do we have a second already?
We have a motion, we have a second, and there's been discussion.
All right.
So we're really ready to call the roll.
okay, I'm going to do the roll call. Dean Lewis,
Yes.
Ignacio Kamui,
Yes.
Mr. Robin Bosco,
Yes.
Mr. Anthony Samus,
Yes.
Eligia Labrada,
Yes.
Robert Behar,
Yes.
and Mr. Willie Brunamello.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Kobe. You too.
Thank you.
Amen.
Congratulations, Kobe.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, and now give me one moment. Okay, so the next item we're going to hear. Let me pull up the agenda. I apologize. I was having some computer issues that I was tending to and have to re-pull up the agenda.
Vicky, I have a question. If you want to take a 5-minute break, is that possible?
That would, you have to check with Mr. Romello. Is that okay? Can we take a 5-minute break?
Absolutely.
All right, thanks.
Ignacio, you got it.
Okay, so it's 11:21 right now. We'll restart at 11:26.
Wait, Robert, are you in your office?
I am, Willie.
Hey, good for you, man.
I'm here.
that hurts because they had to give her
File ID 7572. It's a resolution recommending to the Director of the Planning Department approval or denial for the project known as The Spot, located at 1510 Northwest 16th Terrace. The subject property is located within the Allapattah Net District. It is zoned T6-8R, and the proposed project is going to be multifamily residential. They are seeking 6 waivers. One is pursuant to Article 4, Table 4, to allow up to 30% reduction of the required parking spaces within a TOD area, where 60 parking spaces are required and 45 parking spaces are proposed. A waiver pursuant to Article 7, Section 7.1.2.5.8.29 to allow up to 10% reduction of the minimum access aisle width from 23 feet to 22 feet. A waiver pursuant to Article 4, Table 5 to allow the substitution of 1 commercial loading berth for 2 residential loading berths. A waiver pursuant to Article 5, Section 5.6.4, subsection D to allow parking to extend into the second layer at the primary frontage with approval from the planning director and the recommendation of the Urban Development Review Board. A waiver pursuant to Article 5, Section 5.6.4E to allow parking to extend into the second layer for the secondary frontage with approval from the planning director. And the final one is a waiver pursuant to Article 5, Section 5.6.4, subsection G to allow reduction of the minimum distance between vehicular entrance from 60 feet to 19 feet 4 inches. The one that's before you today is the parking to extend to the second layer at the primary frontage with recommendation to the planning department director. I believe Ms. Carmen Diaz is going to be making the presentation on behalf of the applicant. Oh, I'm to. Ms. Diaz?
Yes, hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Ms. Diaz, I'm going to have you put your video on.
Can you turn instead Gloria Villamil? I'm on the other computer.
Excuse me, what was that?
Okay, you have another participant with the name Gloria Villamil.
Yep, and I just asked to unmute.
Okay, I'm here. Thank you. Do I need to share my screen or?
I need to see while you're speaking. If you're not doing your presentation, you have to be visible on the video.
Yeah, okay, I will be doing the presentation. I will be visible on the video, but I don't know how it's off. Everybody else is off. There we go. Hi, good morning.
Ms. Diaz, we need to see you on video before you share your screen.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
We need to see you physically on video.
Okay, I'm already sharing my video. I'm gonna
we need to see you personally before you start sharing any video or any documents.
You already seen me.
Okay, now we're seeing you.
Yeah. Hi, good morning. I'm Carmen Diaz. I will be presenting this project with Caimares Martin Architectural Engineering Design. Let me start. Can I start the presentation now? My screen, sorry. I'm presenting this project. The name is Escal Residential Building. It's a multi-family apartment building located at 1510 Northwest 16th Terrace. This lot has 3 frontages. One of them is the Northwest 16th Terrace. Northwest, also the 15th Street Road, and the 16th Avenue. The 16th Terrace and 15th Street Road are the principal frontages, and the 16th Avenue is the secondary frontage. Around this neighborhood, there is a proliferation of multifamily on low scale, mid scale, and there's some upcoming new construction that are very large scale.
Ms. Diaz, I'm having a hard time listening, hearing. I don't know if the other members hear well.
Mr. Romello, I think what's going on
I'm not
is
hearing well either. I'm not hearing well either.
It's like a big echo.
I think what's going on is that she's got two computers on, and she's got two microphones on, and so it's picking up on both, because if you see the screen keeps jumping from Carmen to Gloria. So
Yes, let me turn off that one. Look, can you turn off that computer?
so only the mic should be on for the one that says Gloria.
Yes.
The mic should be muted on the other. Okay, thank you.
Correct, correct. The building will be seen within walking distance to the Justice Building. Is going to be also within walking distance from the Health District, the Jackson Hospital, and also is within half of a mile of the Commerce Center station, the Metro Rail, and we'll have also easy access to the expressways around the corner. Let me go to the site plan. The building lot is irregular. The lot is about 13,000 square feet. The building will be composed of 8 stories. 3 of them will be the parking, first, second, and third level. And above that, we will have residential. We will have an amenity deck on the 4th floor. Let me go to, here is the pretty much all the areas of the building. At ground floor, we will have the parking with the lobby facing the street. Second floor and third floor will be the parking. The parking in this area is where it will extend to the secondary, to the second layer. And that's why we're asking for that's why we're here basically to ask for the approval and recommendation from the UDRB committee. The building has in total 38 dwelling units, 45 parking spaces, with 1 2-bedroom and studios throughout the top floors. Regarding the Miami 21 code, we are in the urban zone T6AR. We're complying at this point with the maximum number of stories. We are not going over the lot coverage. We are within the lot ratio setbacks. So we're complying pretty much with everything. But we are requesting also, as the attorney says, we're requesting few waivers, 6 of them that she already mentioned. But the most important one is the one that we're requesting to allow us to extend the parking to the second layer into the secondary and the principal frontage. The building. Let me go to the. The building, it will integrate into the site. It's not overpowering the surrounding neighborhood. We did something that will integrate with the urban context, with the orthogonal axis, and we are activating the pedestrian realm at the ground level, providing glass throughout the whole facade. We did. Based on the recommendation from planning, we modified at the beginning of the process this area here to acknowledge that this street has a different angle. So we create at the ground floor a small courtyard plaza. Let me go to the ground floor. Right here, we created, we're acknowledging, this area as the principal frontage, although the rest of the urban site is very orthogonal and rectangular. This diagonal was acknowledged by this courtyard that we created here. At the ground floor, all the lobby has a glass area to integrate the street with to have, like visuals from the building inside and out. We go to the main elevation. This is the main elevation or the principal frontage. We here did an accent band that will separate the pedestal of the building from the top building. It's something that is very coherent, is very rational, elegant, is minimalistic, and the planes that you see here, right here in the back, they go down in the same direction as the street, and they create a shadow and light play of geometric forms. The garage is located behind this volume that you see here. Is a black volume or gray volume covered with a screen, but it's not we kind of masked it, and it is part of the whole design. So the intention is to have like a volume that you don't read from the pedestrian realm. We created overhangs, and that concrete overhang, which is oversized, it goes around the whole building into the sides, and it becomes like a unifying element in the building. And this is the rear elevation. This is the parking where we're doing like a playful thing with colors, degradation of colors. So that wall is not just a blank wall. It's going to have some design elements. And this is the last facade. And I think that's it. If you have any questions for me.
What are the dashed lines of a roof, like a one-story roof that you show in the front?
On the front facade? In this one?
Well, I can see, yes. Like, what is that, like a building in front of?
Yes, this is the adjacent building. It's a multi-family, two-story building.
Adjacent on the other side of the street, or?
It's right behind. Let me show you on the site plan where it is located. And if I can have a moment, I can show you in the context plan doesn't show that. That it is this building right here.
That building will stay?
That actually our project site is just this area here. Up to only the green area is the project site. This rectangle in red is not a part of the project. It's that is not correct. So that is the building that is in -9. It's not part of the project.
Confusing.
Claudia, this is Willie Vermelho. Do you mind going through the plans a little bit slower?
Yes, please.
Because you can't move through them, and
thank you, Willie.
Just keep in mind that I don't do this very often. You guys are very used to this, and
we're not used to this. Claudia, this is our second Zoom meeting for the UDRB, so we're rookies and neophytes here, working our way through together with Vicky.
Okay, here I have small scale plans, but you can see them all, or I can put the enlarged plans so you can see them better.
You can enlarge them each one. Just you don't have a lot of plans. Just I think the ground floor, your typical parking, and maybe your amenity deck, and then the typical apartment. And I think that should.
Okay. This is the ground floor. This is the ground floor. You access the parking through the secondary frontage through here, through the 16th Avenue. Where you see in orange, that's the principal frontage. All that is covered in glass, and this here is the other principal frontage too, that we created a plaza as request by planning and zoning. So this plaza and that courtyard was something that we redid based on our meetings with the planning and zoning.
Vicky, a quick question. Can you go, where's the loading here?
The loading area is right here. Do you see it?
So how do you
Come in from the west.
from the west?
You come through here and you park here. The trash room is right at the back, which have to be carried out through this area, which is not that far.
Okay.
So one of the waivers you got was for the reduction in the size of the aisles? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I'm assuming you've done turning movement analysis to make sure that any large vehicle coming in here, whether it's trash or people moving in and out, that they can make these turns?
We did the study here in-house in the office. We didn't hire any traffic engineer or anything for this project, but the loading area has, according to the size of the loading trucks, it's a little bit even bigger than the loading truck. So we're pretty sure that they can maneuver in there.
So the ramp to go upstairs is behind the loading zone? The
ramp, you access the ramp here. That's the,
yes.
Yeah, it's a separate entrance and it goes up. And so through here, you access the rest of the parking levels. Through here, you only go into the ground floor.
And then these parking spaces, like 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, are like back to back. You know,
they're tandem parking.
Who would be parking there?
Front to front, yeah.
Who would be parking there?
Mainly people that rent 2-bedroom units.
Okay.
Oh, I have a question for you. The indentation that you made on the diagonal along 15th Street.
Yes.
It was done because together with staff, you all acknowledge that in reality is, of the two principal streets, is really the most important one. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Was that done because as a gesture that is in fact the most important side or frontage of the building?
No, it was when we met with Eisenberg, Mr. Eisenberg. He said that we didn't have that. In reality, we have this orthogonal in that corner within the second layer. Because if you see the whole site and all the surrounding areas, everything is very orthogonal. We didn't have only that piece of property which is really small compared to the rest of the site. It was facing that particular street. So we pretty much responded to the rest of the city, but he wanted at least to have something, acknowledge that little piece of property line touching that street. It is not like the main view of the building. It's going to be more like the corner that you're going to see while driving through there.
So in your opinion, where you currently have the entrance, is that is in fact the most important?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. And can you show us the amenity area?
Sure.
Can you stay on this? Can you go a little? Okay.
That's the amenity area. We have a small deck with a pool, pretty space for deck area.
What level is this?
This is the 4th level. It's right above the last level of the parking garage.
They're very nice units.
Yeah, I think that the apartment units are about 100 square feet, the 1-bedroom units, right? So they're pretty big in comparison to other developments. The 2 bedrooms are around 850, 900. And we have only a couple of studios in the project.
Nice
Are
balconies.
Are those, what is unit A3? Is that what is that, a 1 bedroom and what?
The
Is it
A1, you said?
A3, he said.
A3.
A3.
It's the pink, it's shown in the pink.
A3 is a 1 bedroom with 1 den.
With a den, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I don't have any other questions. Let me just kick it off. You know, you're very talented. I like the building. This is a very nice for an area that is very modest.
Yes.
And kind of a, you know, workforce housing. I think it's very well done. Overall, my only question I asked regarding that angular was because of it. That was really that important. It would have seemed to me that taking advantage of that plaza, I would have flipped the entrance and had really activated that space, which right now is kind of like just a leftover space in that pocket diagonal, and it's more of a gesture. It's not really going to be anything that really works with the building. It's so it was just that comment. My only real comment other than that is the abutting, what faces that additional building. Your design is very clean, very crisp, and that wall with what you're trying to use with paint, it doesn't really do anything for me, and I don't think it'll do anything for the people that are next to it either. And it seems that a green wall, which you start to do, would have been the more appropriate treatment along that very hard wall of your garage. But those are the only 2 comments. Overall, I like it very much, and it's very clean. It's not trying to, you know, call a lot of attention to itself. And I really like the way that you did the parking and how you segregated the pedestal from the apartment units that are also very clean, very nicely proportioned, and the plan is very well laid out. So I compliment you.
I have a question regarding the, can you go back to the ground floor? Okay, so what is the height? What is the clear height for the loading that you have?
The loading, I believe, is 15 feet. I can double check the elevations. Can you check it? I think it's required by code to leave.
I think you have 12 feet.
Yeah, no, 12.7. Oh, 12.
And Ignacio, you're going to the point. I'm glad you're going that way.
Okay, and for the trash, can you just quickly run through the trash area? How?
Yes. It's a small area. It's not a big apartment complex. So that it's not together with the loading area, but it's, you know, we have all the buildings where, you know, someone that takes care of the trash just can, you know, wheel the car to the area.
Is there a chute from above that brings the trash down, or just?
We should have a chute. Let me go back to the
next to your elevator, Carmen. Look next to your elevator.
Yes.
There's supposed to be a chute there.
Yeah, but...
Okay, so basically you have a storage trash. So you have 2 areas.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And then I suppose you roll the bins over to the, and I suppose that the bigger trash area is air conditioned?
I think by code it needs to be air conditioned.
Okay. All right. My next question is, by the way, I also commend you on the design. I think it fits very well into, and you've done a great job, and I think it'd be a great fit for this area. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the screening, which is the reason basically that you're here, right? For the,
yeah, true. True.
Okay.
The only reason that we are here in front of you is because of that parking garage. It's supposed to be an artwork or a glass treatment. What we are doing is integrating the parking into the design as this, as the design as a whole. We have a screening, we have the samples here and everything in the office, but mainly that screen, when you read in the elevation, the idea was that you have these concrete overhangs going around a volume that you don't see or you don't read as a parking garage. And that screening will, during the day, is gonna be dark, really dark with dark paint. During the night, it's gonna be illuminated like wall washers, like big scale washers. So to create a day and night contrast effect. So during the day, it will be dark. During the night, it's gonna be illuminated. So you don't see inside the parking garage, and you will never read it as a parking garage, more as a dark volume sitting behind this line of concrete overhangs.
Okay, that's very good. Can you go to the elevation sheet so we could see the screening?
Yes.
Or do you have another sheet that details how you're going to screen?
Yes.
Okay, this one I'm not.
Just give me a minute. Let me go to the enlarged so we have a detail of that area. Yeah. That this right here, it's where it's gonna be located on the garage.
Okay.
And we have a sample here that you really cannot see, beyond that.
Okay. No, that's okay. This right here pretty much tells the story of how you can. It's going to be, the concern was, are you going to actually be able to see the cars parked or the lighting, and how much of that? But I see that these, I'm assuming those are metal.
This is let me see. You see this?
Yes, we do.
You cannot
Yes,
it's
that's
like very, very dense.
That's very helpful. I'm glad you showed us that. And I'm assuming it's going to be is that a dark gray that you're showing?
And in what I show you physically that I have here is not dark gray, but what we're proposing is going to be dark.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. That ends my comments. Very good job.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Yes. I had one comment. Gloria, thank you for your presentation again. Going back to that little courtyard, is it possible just to in order to activate that? I know you have a mailroom there, but it seems like it still continues to face the main frontage. That you would orient it so that there's direct access to that courtyard, and maybe that will kind of give it a little more activation. Otherwise, it just seems like it's kind of leftover outdoor space.
I think that we can definitely connect it through the mailroom and the main lobby and do something even nicer. So yes, that's something that we can do. And I think it's a great idea.
That would be my only comment. Thank you. I think it's great. It's a really nice project.
Willie, this is Anthony. Thank you very much, Gloria, for your presentation. I think you did a great job. I like the building. It's very well.
Carmen, no Gloria. I'm using Gloria's computer.
Oh, you're Carmen?
Yes.
Carmen, I'm sorry. Your face has Gloria underneath, so.
I know. I'm using her computer. I saw her computer.
You did a very good job. I think it's not an easy site, and you resolved it very well, and the units are very well laid out, and it's a playful building on all sides, and both internally and externally. and I commend you for the work you have done. Very nice job.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Robin. I just want to say that I think this is an excellent project, and I agree with all the comments, and I was concerned about the garage screening, but I didn't see until this last portion the material that I think addresses that quite adequately. But again, it's an excellent project, and I too commend you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Carmen. This is Dean. I just wanted to mirror my colleagues' comments and congratulate you on a nice project. It's a demanding, tight site for sure. And the vocabulary, architectural that is, that you selected works well. And the rational geometries are appropriate and helped you avoid difficulties. There's two compromises. One that I wanted to have you take a look at is the location of stair number 1, which basically cuts the lobby in half. I keep wanting to move that stair directly west to the west wall facade and move my entrance over so that I get a better lobby space. The other thing is you have having a trash holding room and wheeling the trash over is a compromise for building this smaller scale, and almost wanted to flip the bicycles with the main trash room to facilitate that, because you're going to have to wheel those dumpsters all the way out and around to your west facade. And those are my two comments. The corner, again, at the ground level, where you have the diagonal facade and the little bench work and planter, a little less convincing. I almost want to continue the vocabulary of the building above all the way down to the street with your stepping motion. But those are my two comments, and ensure that you have the headroom for your loading.
Yes.
I think you're going to have to work in some slope there as you come into the garage, and you want to be careful with that.
Yes.
And I guess everybody has gone. Any other comments?
I'm waiting on you, Robert.
Carmen, I think, this is a very, very difficult site, and you have tried to do the best possible solution to a small site. 13,000 square feet and, doing 30-something units is quite a feat. I think I agree with all the comment. My only concern, my biggest concern here is your service area, the trash, that unfortunately there's no way but to bring all those dumpsters to the middle of a street to be able to, for your waste management, to be able to pick up the trash. And I think, if I see in some cases where the city is reluctant to allow that, there's no other way that your trash could be picked up within your property. A 12-foot clearance that you have or so, the truck cannot do the service required inside the garage. So
exactly.
I understand that you could have somebody, one of the building maintenance engineer, whatever, move the trash into that containment area, but to service it, they're gonna have to roll the dumpster to the middle of the street. There's no way all the way to do it, and I think that's really a problem.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's a lot of work.
And not only that, is that we're using the right of way for the trash to be picked up.
Yeah.
So I know it's a difficult site, and it's not. If you would have considered doing it, where the loading is and move it, but that's my comment. I think that's a major. Your biggest problem that you have. Otherwise, the screening to me looks good. It will, the articulation of the facade looks good. Everything else looks very, very, done a great job for such a small building. The trash is my biggest concern.
Let me go back to you in that case. The 12 feet, if I'm not mistaken, is what the Miami 21 requires by code. But we have an opportunity here, since the building is going to be like 2 feet above the sidewalk level, to provide some ramping up or keep that area right there at a lower level, so that way a bigger truck can go inside the building.
But you cannot do, Carmen, you cannot do the maneuvering inside the building at 12, 14 feet. You need 21, 22 feet to do that. In order for the trash to be done internally. And the only way that your trash will be done here is by rolling the dumpsters out to the street. And then you gotta have to keep that slab even, because those dumpsters, I don't know how big, these dumpsters are, they're containers, but it's gonna be difficult to maneuver them through your drive out to the middle of the street. That's something that, from the maintenance point of view, is tough.
Already, she could move the trash, the main trash room next to the loading in that space she's calling support. That would be helpful.
Yes.
Shorten the distance. You still have the height. What do you understand? What Robert is explaining to you, the truck has to grab the dumpsters, lift them up in the air, and dump them back. And it's impossible for them to do it inside. So they're going to be coming along the street. And then you have an issue of getting those dumpsters out there for them. They don't like to have to wheel them out and then push them back, or they'll leave them out in the street when they leave, if you're lucky at the driveway. Yes. It's a tough one. Sometimes we cut a hole in the second floor to accommodate that, and they can pull in, at least head in.
That's exactly correct. And you do have, where the loading area is on the second floor, you have parking. So maybe that could be achieved at an angle so the truck could come in. But then again, you're going to reduce parking spaces, which I know is a problem. But,
Well, you can pick them up perhaps on the other side. If she were to square off that corner and lose that 45, she could still get two more.
But anyways, look, I don't want to be the spoiler here. I just, I think you've done a very nice job, very good, great job, given the such a difficult site. But, it's something to consider, not only for the functionality of the building on a daily basis, but, to me, having to get that trash to the street is not something that, we should be promoting.
I'd like to suggest, Mr. Chairman, a motion to approve the project as presented with a recommendation for the applicant to review the trash situation at the ground level, specifically in line with the comments that were raised today. That would be the only recommendation. That's my motion.
Anthony, would that include the comment from Dean Lewis for the relocation of the satellite trash room to the area that were shown the support?
Yeah, all of those comments that pertain to the applicant, Carmen, understands what was discussed here today.
Yes, I understand. I will have to work on the pickup of the trash, the headroom of the truck, and that trash room on the east side, places somewhere near the loading area.
You have some options with that room labeled support. You have a lot of options, but you understand what was discussed, and we all like what you did. We just have this, relatively minor comment.
Yes.
Okay, so is there a second to Anthony's motion?
Second.
Is there any further discussion of the motion? There being none, can you call the roll, Vicky?
Vicky's missing in action.
Hi, sorry about
Vicky?
that. Who made the second?
The motion was made by Anthony.
I think both Anthony and myself.
So Anthony made the motion, and then Louis is Dean is the
Was
second.
second,
Okay.
corrected, correct.
Okay, let me do roll call. Mr. Santos?
Me, yes.
Okay. Dean Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Perui?
Yes.
Mr. Bosco?
Yes.
Ms. Labrada?
Yes.
Mr. Behar?
Yes.
And Mr. Vermello?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Carmen.
Thank you.
Next
Before
item.
this is Robin Bosco. Before we move on to the next agenda item, we had discussed earlier briefly an issue in the first presentation about conditions, and we had conditions in this resolution. I had spoken last week with Vicky about the minutes that were being issued from previous hearings. The reports, I don't believe, have included the actual conditions that we've recommended. Vicky, could you elaborate on that a little?
The conversation we had, you said that you wanted to see the conditions, or the recommendations rather, included in part of the meeting minutes, and I can do that moving forward.
So you don't need a resolution from us to do that, or you're able to?
That I'm not sure. I have to check with my my attorney, or rather the board attorney.
No, I don't think, I don't think you need to do a resolution to tell her to do it going forward, if she's agreeing to do it going forward. Just make sure it's captured in the minutes going forward.
Okay.
If you wish to pass a resolution, you can absolutely do that. It's up to the board's will.
Again, I would just recommend that be included from now on in the minutes.
Okay.
So if you want to make a motion, you guys can definitely vote to have that going forward.
You want to make that a motion, or you're simply fine with the fact that Vicky said that she's going to do it?
I have no reason not to think Vicky's going to do what she tells us, but
That she's not going to do what she tells. By the way, we had an item approving some minutes from a past meeting today, but that meeting was not the last Zoom meeting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Do we have minutes from the last Zoom meeting?
I will have that for you. I'll have the meeting minutes for the May meeting, and this meeting will be presented at the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Vicky, can we now have the third and last item?
We're going to do it right now. Okay, the third item is, thank you for your patience. I'm maneuvering with multiple screens and
while she's doing that, I'll just go ahead and formally introduce myself. I am your new attorney. My name is Dominique Gibbs, so hello to everyone.
Welcome aboard. Congratulations.
Welcome. Nice to meet you.
Well, welcome, Dominique.
Okay, item number 3 is going to be file ID 7574, a resolution recommending to the director of the planning department approval or denial for the project, also known as Wynwood 29, located at 2804, 2810, 2819, 2828, and 2838 Northwest 1st Avenue. In the Wynwood Edgewater Net District, the transit zone, it's a split transit zone, T50 and T680. Additionally, this is within the NRG1 Wynwood. The proposed use is going to be a mixed-use, multifamily residential and commercial. According to their letter of intent, they are applying for 1 warrant and 6 waivers. The warrant is pursuant to Appendix J section 3.1.2 B2 to allow on-street maneuverability to access 2 loading berths. Waiver pursuant to Article 7, Section 7.1.2.5A8, Article 4, Table 4, decrease of required parking by 30% within the quarter-mile radius of a transit corridor. Waiver pursuant to Section 7.1.2.5A28 to permit up to 10% increase in lot size from 40,000 square feet to 44,000 square feet. Waiver for a lot coverage increase up to 90% through the flexible lot coverage program pursuant to Appendix J, Section 5.1A1. Waiver pursuant to Section 7.1.2.5A28 to permit up to a 10% increase in lot coverage for the T680 portion of the property. Waiver requested pursuant to Article 7, Section 7.1.2.5.8.14 to permit loading access from a principal frontage. And the final waiver is waivers requested up to 10% reduction in the minimum square footage for a 1-bedroom residential unit pursuant to Section 7.1.2.5.8.29. The reason why this project is coming before this board today is because it's over 200,000 square feet. So let me go ahead and start including the presenters.
Vicky, what was staff's recommendation on all of those waivers?
They have actually not completed. That has not. That they haven't done the waivers yet. They wait for you to you guys to review the project prior to issuing the waivers.
Okay. Could you instruct the applicant in their presentation to focus on each of those waivers and why they should be granted?
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me check the panels to see they are. Iris, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. And I understand I accidentally removed, I believe, your landscape architect.
Yes. If you could have him please log back in.
Yes, I am actually going to call because I'm not sure how to do that. So I will find out from somebody else. So please.
Correct.
I will take care of that.
And before we get started, I just wanted to make a comment. The chair had earlier mentioned about getting printed copies sent over. We'd be happy to take on that task, and we can send it maybe to their offices, to the board members' offices by a certain cutoff date or something, because I know the city has some logistic issues. But we're happy if we're provided with a mailing location to not only submit digitally, but also submit printed copies, because I myself love to see things printed. So we're happy to do that for whomever would like.
That pertains only to your projects, though.
Oh, yeah.
No, we like to have them, I was one of those individuals who had an issue with the lack of paper that allows us to make a review of the plans. It would be nice to have plans available.
Okay, I will, as I mentioned before, I will talk to my supervisors and some other people within the department and see if we can come up with something.
Great. Okay.
But I want to thank Iris and Greenberg for offering to do that.
Great. Thank you. With that said, our team is here. I'm going to let Brian make our introduction and presentation, and Ray Fort and the rest of the team. So Brian, take it away.
Good morning, board. It's afternoon now. Brian Dombrowski and Iris Esquera, 333 Southeast 2nd Avenue. I'm going to pull up a very brief presentation just to walk you through some of the context for the property. And then I will turn it over to Ray so that he can walk us through his design. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
There we go. So this is the Wynwood 29 project. Vicky went through the addresses previously, and we have our PZ numbers 20, 50, 640. We're here today before you because we do exceed the 200,000 square feet. This map kind of gives you a context of where we're located. We're just outside of the Midtown Miami area in the northeast corner of Wynwood. Our site is bifurcated by Northwest First Avenue, and we kind of run from 29th Street to 28th Street on the west side, and we are located on First Avenue and 28th Street on the east side of the property. We're split zoned, T680, T50, and we have the NRD1 overlay for the entire project, and our zone designation is general commercial. This may look familiar to you, this site, because back in September of 2016, we came before this board and were approved. This project that we're bringing to you today is a slightly modified design, and it has been updated because we acquired an additional parcel since that previous waiver was approved by the city. We're proposing 248 units with almost 130,000 square feet of office and over 28,000 square feet of commercial use. We're providing 12 stories on the northern T68 portion and 8 stories on the T50 portion. Vicky went through the waivers, and I know that Mr. Bermeo wanted us to kind of highlight why we are requesting those waivers, and I will let Ray get into that a little bit more on the specifics for why his design requires those. But to get into that a little bit now, we are requesting the 30% parking reduction waiver, which was previously approved under the prior waiver for this site. We are requesting an increase in the maximum lot size in the T50 portion, which was previously approved on the 2016 waiver. We are utilizing the NRD's flexible lot coverage program in the T5 portion, which was previously approved on the previous waiver. We are requesting a 10% increase in lot coverage for the T68 portion. We are requesting loading access from a principal frontage, which was previously approved on the 2016 waiver, and we are also requesting a reduction in the one-bedroom units, a 10% reduction in the minimum unit size, which will allow us a little bit more flexibility on those units. And Ray can discuss which units those are, the number, and why we are asking for that. And lastly, we have Carlos Rosso and Amro Zakarni from Related. Ray Fort from Architectonica will present. Juan Espinosa with David Plummer to answer any of your traffic questions. We have Natural Official as well, if Vicky has gotten them back on. And of course, Iris and myself.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you.
With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Ray Fort so that he can bring up his presentation. We're here to answer any questions you may have. We look forward to your feedback.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Ray Fort with Architectonica. Nice to see everyone again. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. Okay, is everyone able to see this?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so just walking you through this, the site is located between 29th and 28th Street on that northeast corner of the Wynwood district. It's actually a series of sites that is bifurcated by Northwest First Avenue, which is actually planned to be a future winner for Wynwood. So we're pretty excited that we can create some activation, especially right at the entrance of Northwest 29th Street, which is the northern boundary really of Wynwood, and one of the ways to get in. Something that's important to note here as it relates to the waivers is that we have multiple parcels, but the T5 parcels basically become greater than the 40,000 square foot lot allowance. However, there's a street between them, so naturally there's a breaking up of that massing. And then for the T68 portion, you can see here that there's two different transect zones that run right through the middle of the site, partly due to the fact that you've got 29th Street on one side and 28th on the other, but 29th being a very wide right-of-way, greater than 70 feet. Furthermore, Brian had mentioned that there was a parcel that was acquired as part of this project, and it's actually this corner parcel that we previously did not design the project around. So we've now included that as part of the design and how it's all put together. And along with it, we made some minor updates that improve the project as a result of some information about the project neighboring that's going to be located there. So I think that sets the context of what the site is itself. It's currently a vacant lot. There are no buildings on it. Here is some aerial imagery, but I think what would be more accurate to start talking about it, these are the vacant lots as they are today, as you can see, is that this quadrant of Wynwood is very quickly becoming sort of the residential sector of Wynwood, a little bit off of Northwest 2nd Avenue. It's a little bit quieter. You know, there's not so many, I guess, bars and establishments pre-COVID. But I think that will continue eventually once we get through this period, obviously. And basically all of the surrounding projects are planned to be residential projects, and this use is also in keeping with it. We're proposing 248 residential units. There's 164 on this side, and there are 84 units on this side. But let me take you through some of the project detailing. There's also a waiver, and I'm bringing this up because you thought it about reduction in parking. And we're within a quarter-mile radius of several bus routes and corridors. So we're utilizing the parking reduction for the project in order to not have such an impact on parking, of course. So starting with the ground floor, and this may be a good place to start in terms of the project arrangement, is that knowing that this is going to be a Woodruff and a more pedestrian-oriented street, we wanted to make sure we prioritized retail along that frontage. So what you see in the pink color is all retail, and what you're seeing in the green colors are the residential lobbies. We've also located all the back of house elements to the interior lot lines. And we looked at a little bit of context, and there's a project here that is going to have its loading operating right in this zone. So we thought it was okay to stack essentially the use to that side, but also making sure that we're prioritizing the retail over here. And on this end, there's also back of house operations occurring in this proposed project here. So we have our loading occurring on that end, once again prioritizing the retail frontage on Northwest 1st Avenue. A couple other things to note as it relates to lot coverage and setbacks. There is a waiver for the lot coverage. And one of the reasons why we're asking for that is that once we start to pack in the programming here, it naturally occupies some space. But that doesn't mean that we're taking the project to the minimum required setback. In fact, at the corner of Northwest 29th Street, we've actually pulled back the building to be at the 15-foot setback line. And that goes all the way up to the 12th story. It should also be noted there's a little bit of a cantilever here. So we've done these inverted corners, but that doesn't count towards our lot coverage. That even though there's a building above on those corners, it still counts towards lot coverage because there's something above, but the actual streetscape is open at that junction. So we're setting back more in these locations, this location, and all along this frontage here and along this side as well. So we've thought about it as to what makes sense and providing this outdoor cafe zones and outdoor activity zones that is fronting the retail and fronting that Woodruff, along with the landscape for the streetscape. And we're joined here by National Official to answer any questions about that. So moving up to the upper levels, we've placed all of the parking in one garage on the eastern parcel, and we've aligned it with residential units. So there's no garage screening system. The interior walls are going to be solid, and there's residential units lining it, so it's completely out of view from the street. And then on the western parcel, the project has changed a little bit because we now have this corner lot. And previously, the building had projected out all along the frontage on Northwest First Avenue. But in light of seeing what the plans are going to be for the adjacent project, that would have meant that we had units facing that condition. So we, in fact, just inverted our building to be single loaded on this side and create a courtyard off of Northwest First Avenue. And we actually really like that feature because it essentially gives us an opportunity to break up the frontage along Northwest First Avenue that now creates a second floor terrace and several lanai units. So there's diversity now of units. There's street front units, there's units in higher buildings, there's lanai units, and there's courtyard units. So, just having that diversity of unit types and what conditions they're facing, I think always creates for a more interesting streetscape condition. So noting that the parcel on the north end is T612, this will actually go to the 12 levels, while this side stays at the 8 levels. So moving into the upper floors, where the 8th floor drops off, we've placed the amenity deck and the amenity rooms in this building. So, and we've accentuated this. You'll see that in the facade design as to how that amenity is articulated on the facade, which then has access to level 9, which is a series of covered areas and trellises and green space and a pool. So our 8th level now becomes something attractive to look down upon, especially for the units above that are overlooking that zone. And the same goes for the 2nd floor courtyard conditions. We have a courtyard here that then is set below from all of these units. This is the upper floor plate. You'll notice that we had to basically place the 2 stairs on this side of the project in order to allow that to happen. So it's like a mini floor plate condition that occurs in that area. And then we're also contemplating, and this is actually a recent addition, an accessible roof terrace here on the top floor, on the roof plan of the overall project, and that's actually further detailed in the landscape plans. So then, just moving into the elevations, one of the things we wanted to do here was keep the project design in keeping with the industrial nature of the neighborhood, while also creating a composition of forms that maybe make it a little bit more playful than your traditional sort of industrial building. So we used a combination of square windows and openings that are more vertical in orientation and include a spandrel condition, a stucco spandrel condition, to create that look. And we also chose a color palette that is a variety of terracotta tones and light grays, very light grays, that are more of a concrete tone. Another detail you'll notice here is that we wanted to accentuate these forms within the volume by having a linear architectural stucco that create these line forms along the perimeter. And those further define the window wall zones, which are essentially used to create these volumes. So one way you can look at it is that we have a series of L-shaped forms that are just sort of interlocking with one another as we go around the project and the project's geometry. So then moving into the other elevations, we're sensitive to what direction walls are facing. So any walls that are currently facing lower buildings will get an art treatment. So this is the east elevation of the west building, and east elevation of the east building. So this is actually the garage building. And this made sense to place some art treatment here because there is that low passage zone that is adjacent to it. It's a low building, so it made sense to put in that location. When we look at the south elevations, this is looking north. This is Northwest First Avenue here, that future plan Wunnerf. We take the composition of what we had on the main corner, which is Northwest 29th and Northwest First, and brought it down to all the other levels of the project, and continuing to use that motif of the scored corners and varying the colors of the terracotta tones. In some cases, The building comes all the way down to the ground, as you can see here, to give it sort of, you know, a more grounded feel. And in other conditions, we lift the project up on a series of round columns and give that some art treatment. So there becomes variety as to how the ground floor is treated. This is the west elevation of the west building. It should be noted that there is the proposed diesel building there. It's one of the reasons why we inverted our plan to not have to look at a solid wall condition there. So, but outside of it, where we have a low building adjacent, is where we placed art treatment above. So then this is the east block on the west elevation. So once again, continuing that idea of a variety of terracotta tones. And also we looked at how the window conditions were treated, and we're pretty excited that when we get to the 3D, we create this almost bay window corner condition. It's not quite a bay window, but in the sense that we have a glass corner on this very industrial grid that is proposed throughout the project. And these are all operable windows, it should be noted. And this is window wall that creates the split between the two volumes. Oh, sorry. Okay, and this is the elevation along Northwest 29th Street. The project is relatively slender in proportions, but we thought of that as an opportunity to really enhance that. So when we divided up the volumes, we liked the fact that we could basically create these slender compositions that touch the ground and lift other forms up to make them feel like they're floating a little bit, sort of giving this appearance of these objects that are that have a lot of movement along the streetscape. So then looking closer at the street elevations, one of the ways that we detailed it was by carrying that linear reveal and raking condition in the stucco down to the ground floor and defining these columns a little bit more, almost in a way that we're, you know, taking maybe what would have been a traditional column that had some fluting on it, but now just turning it into something a little bit more contemporary and having a little bit more of a tactile feel. Further street elevations, and one of the things to note is that we try to blend in the loading zones as part of the facade, so it feels natural. You know, some zones will come down to the ground, as I said, some will lift up, and behind that we'll paint it a neutral color, very similar to the glass tone. That way it doesn't feel out of place. So looking at a section of the project, you can see that the parking garage is lined with residential units. Once again, this is Northwest First Avenue. This section is also taken through the courtyard condition on the east building. So you can see the residential units that are set back significantly from the street that then create this, you know, condition of a courtyard on top of the retail, thereby providing, you know, even more distance between units that are on either side of the street. So just looking at some of the material palettes here, we use the window wall to help define these forms. There are very limited areas that have aluminum railing, but in the case that we do, very simple square tubing, square extrusions that form sort of the pool deck perimeter. We didn't want that area to necessarily compete with the other forms that are happening in the project. We wanted all the zones that are at the base to be painted mural and signage as part of the project. So that gives individual expression for the retail stores. And then the retail glazing will be clear glass. We think clear glass is very important for the viability of these stores. And then we actually propose, this is item number 9, it's sort of, it's hard to see, I think, on the screen, but we're proposing a series of shade structures as part of the shade of the streetscape. You can see some of the shadows here. That way, you know, you can still have the hand painted signage. It sits above it, and it's not too deep. These are only 5-foot projections. So then, once again, we're varying these colors of the terracotta tones. Almost in a way, it even harkens back to some of the brick tones that you might see in some industrial buildings. But once again, trying to keep it sort of more modern and more catered to the neighborhood. In terms of the project's massing and the art locations, this was probably a better way to define it. We've identified locations such as the east side of the east building, the inside face of where the building steps back, where we have that large setback on the corner of 29th Street. The areas that will enclose the overruns and mechanical areas on top of the building. And areas that have the facade exposed to major right-of-ways, but clearly not in zones where there would have been, or there is planned to be another project, such as right here. And this mural is the same as this one, and there's a couple of repeats here that these are the same here. But I think it tells the story of where we're planning to do it. Just wanted to give you a couple of vantage points. So then getting into the renderings and the overall look at the building. This is a view from 29th Street, and we've lifted that corner to make it more of an opening into the Wunderf. We thought it was important that corner is accentuated with height. So we even took beyond the retail glass. We took the liberty of then extending it with the window wall condition to lift this volume even more. That way, as you enter Northwest First Avenue, there's this stepping down, almost inviting you into the street. And then using that as the basis for then creating the split through the two volumes on that corner. This split here, where you see the round columns exposed, is going to be the fitness room and amenity area for the project that then has access to the level 9 amenity deck, which is then the pool is in the background on this facade, on this volume. So that's defining that space. This is because it's an amenity space. At nighttime, this will all be well lit. So then it's really defining that break between those two volumes. You'll also notice, as I was telling you in the elevations, is that we opted for a combination of vertical openings and square-like openings. Some volumes get it, some volumes don't. We were playful with the placement of how that is located. And then, of course, the linear stucco detail that follows the perimeter of these forms, and they meet at the corners in those junctions. And in this case, again, we wanted to keep it a little bit, have a little bit of wabi-sabi in how that was treated, where the widths of all those lines vary just a little bit. So at the top, they get more spaced out. In certain areas, a little bit more close together, almost like this concentric framing of these volumes. This is a view from Northwest 1st and Northwest 28th Street. Once again, this is the corner condition I was telling you, where despite us having a lot of space on the ground floor set back, this counts towards lot coverage. So that's one of the reasons why we have that waiver. But we think it's actually a detail that's consistent with Wynwood, with the recessed corners, and in some cases the door sits above an overhang. But we again didn't apply it everywhere. We wanted to vary that condition. So you have one here, you have one on the opposing corner. And then in this case, we just create the sensation that you have two volumes that are abutting one another, almost sharing that corner condition. But one is coming all the way down to the ground and the other volume is lifted. So once again, kind of creating that variety in form. And all of these are different colors, of course, each of those volumes. Oh, and this was that corner glass condition I was telling you about, in that we didn't necessarily cover up every single corner. You can see that the raking is applied here, but it's not applied here. And we like that it also has that variety in unit type. This is a view looking down Northwest First Avenue, north, in the north direction. You can see the courtyard above. That steps back from the T68 portion of the site. That's the level 2 courtyard. And then once again, looking south on Northwest First Avenue, and we have the level 2 courtyard above in this condition here. But it creates the notion that you have this L-shaped volume, and that is accentuated by that detailing I was telling you about. And that detailing makes its way sort of into the louvered condition. We want to repeat a similar kind of spacing, if it makes sense, given that it has to have the necessary sort of just shading limitation, but using that linear formwork to inform other parts of the project. So that's the main architectural side of the project. I'll quickly run you through some of the landscape elements. This shows the buildings blocked out. but the trees are placed in areas where they can be placed, and there, as many as possible. You can see that we placed trees in zones where the building is set back a little bit more than normal. And there are bump outs where these naturally want to occur. Now, it should be noted that our lobbies don't exactly line up with one another, given that there's a tall building here, and the taller portion of the building is located here, so the core really has to be on this side. And it might be better for me to go to the ground floor, but we've placed the lobby for this building on the north side to try to get these to be as close as possible, because they will be sharing the garage in the instance that people are requesting parking spaces, however many they need for usage, of course. This is the amenity deck on level 9. And then, oops, I must have missed that page. Let me see. And then the amenity deck on level, on the roof level, level 13. It's a small area, really intended just to be for the residents' use, but really gives that great vantage point out towards, this is east I'm pointing to, out towards Edgewater and Biscayne Bay. So the planting palette kept native, kept diverse, in keeping with the Wynwood Streetscape Master Plan. So there's a series of species that have been designated for the area. It's intended to be a little bit more funky, so the variety of trees is in my understanding, a little bit more expanded beyond what is typically seen on a streetscape in the city of Miami. And I think that's the project, and I'm glad to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ray. Excellent presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Ray, can you take us down back to the ground floor, please? Ground floor site plan.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have a question, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
What is the material that is red, the red material, the terracotta color? Is it like painted stucco?
Yes, that's correct. It's painted stucco.
Okay.
So I'm glad you asked that, Joni, because I think that the project is beautifully designed. Ray, I'm kind of like your number one fan. You're very talented, and you know the issue of Florida Sun is that it's not forgiving when it comes to bright color paints. So my question is are you going to try to do something that will maintain? You know, usually the feel of that is that you have an industrial building with the use of brick. That in this case, there's no brick. It's
yes,
painted stucco.
Yeah.
So maintaining the crispness of those colors over a period of time. Do you have any concern about that? And similarly,
I guess my feeling.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think. No, sorry. Finish your question. Go ahead.
No, you also had an area. I guess it's in the face along First Avenue where you have the double height feature in your grid, which is the gray concrete, and then what looks to be like a spandrel panel that typically would have been either glass or metal. It's shown in a different tone of gray, which I'm assuming it's also painted stucco. You know, maintaining those and calibrating those so that what we're seeing here lasts more than 5 years. What have been your thoughts on that?
My general thinking on the matter was that I think if the building had been selected to be painted one color and all the volumes were a single tone, then it would have, especially with this color palette, it would have made just, it could have potentially been that there was fading on one and not on other, depending on how much sun hit it, what side of the face, what side of the building it was on. So we took position where let's use multiple tones of terracotta so that once maybe it starts to, change color because maybe sun exposure, the side of the building, a lot of variables in those factors, it still looked natural. That it was always intended to have the variability. And I think that the fact that the project has multiple volumes, it lends itself well to have those different tones.
Did you ever consider the use of brick?
We did not, given the scale of the project, and we liked the notion of having a smooth surface that was given this color.
Good.
Would you agree though that this type of treatment should have been done with some sort of brick, tile, glazed, whatever? But I mean, it seems to belong in that realm of material rather than painted stucco. I think that the painted stucco version is degrading that concept that you're trying to promote, which is the industrial look, the industrial thing, which I have an issue personally, but we can discuss that afterward. But I don't know.
I think the smooth aspect of it is good, and I think that like many materials, I didn't think a texture was necessary in this case. I think the matteness was important as well.
Are you not, though? I mean, would you agree that first of all, I'm sorry, I congratulate you for an extremely eloquent presentation and an extremely thoughtful design. You have proven with your presentation that you have thoroughly thought all architectural concerns and issues and solutions, and you have produced a product that justifies all of those juxtapositions of volumes with the L-shaped interlocking of shapes, separating the materials with the glass. However, I feel that the end result, the end aesthetic, is a corporate looking building that I don't think it's industrial looking. I think it's a corporate looking building that is, to me, like an office building rather than a residential building, and it's in Wynwood. And I have an issue with that. I don't know. I think that if you had done, there is a seriousness behind there is a playful seriousness in the design that is very, in a way, I don't want to use the word sterile, but it's like a sterile look, very sober, sterile, corporate look, in my opinion.
Somewhat restricted.
Yes.
Fighting against the movement. Could I segue with a couple more comments, Mr. Chair?
Yes, absolutely. I was just trying to start the comments by trying to focus on some of the areas.
Dean Lewis.
Go ahead, Dean.
Well presented, Ray. Well thought out, well detailed. I do dovetail with the emphasis of your concept and your colorations to introduce a real material instead of just paint. I think that would push it all forward instead of relying strictly on the coloring and the line work. And perhaps that line work could also take on a three-dimensional, not a traditional corbelline, but a slight layering, three-dimensional aspect to it that are underlining your edges and your L's. The second suggestion I have is to accentuate much more your lifting and vertical shifts between your L forms and volumes. You've kind of cut across the tops and the parapets instead of letting those shifts push through in a number of situations between the gray and the terracotta building volumes in particular along the top level. And in your elevations where you have your core volumes projecting above, those are set back significantly enough that we won't see them. It would be good to render them more clear. And I think you would agree that allowing these volumes to shift more in the vertical dimension, particularly at the upper floors, would further reinforce your design concepts and respond to our concern of the somewhat rigid hold back, if you will, tension that we'd like to see released and better adhering to there's a sculptural quality and history to Wynwood, not just industrial. And then the last recommendation I have, sorry, I'll buckle that, is on level 2, if you could go down to the second floor in plan. Okay, perfect. You'll see that we rely heavily on the entire project is parked in the East Tower, and you have a fabulous lanai courtyard, which is kind of deadlocked there with the exception of the views. I would highly recommend considering a pedestrian bridge from the east lobby over to the lanai garden and then penetrate to your core. Yes, you got it. And we've got pedestrian bridges working well on these larger block buildings in Wynwood already, and they're exciting and they add a sense of character. I think the demand there is justified. And that concludes my 3 comments. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dean. Any other comments from our members?
Yes, thank you, Willie. Ray, I'd like to commend you. I think you did an exceptional job starting from the massing to the articulation of the building and breaking up the massing, especially it's where it's a lot easier just to put a double loaded corridor, specifically creating that courtyard. I think it truly enhances and breaks up that massing. And it's a great addition to that project. But also you end up, I see here in this specific drawing where you have 3 single loaded corridors, areas, which is not it's easier. I truly appreciate what you did by screening the parking garage. The easiest thing to do, and what we see most of the time, is you see artwork, very creative artwork, but this is, you took the extra step, and I appreciate that also from the developer, and you created this corridor concealing the garage. So that has to be, you did a great job there. And also in the courtyard where you have that single loaded, it's a lot easier, again, to resolve it and break it up different ways, which is it's a lot more cost saving to do double loaded corridors. So I truly appreciate it. I do like, I think the playfulness that you have with the articulation, I think that truly enhances the project. So I appreciate that. I don't mind the color scheme that much. I agree with some of the comments that the board members have made, but I think this project shows a level of playfulness that you truly enjoy designing this project. So I commend you and the team on a job well done. That's
Thank you,
it.
Ignacio.
Thank you, Ignacio. Any other comments, Robert, Robin?
I think that, forgive me for interjecting, but the concept of the connection of the two buildings via a bridge or another means is also makes sense because the entire parking facility is only on one building and it serves both buildings. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
So how do you expect people to go, like you have to park here and then cross the street and get wet and everything? And, I mean, I don't understand that part.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? It broke up for a moment.
No, the fact that the parking facility is located in one building but serves both buildings. So a person who lives on the the western building has to cross the street and get wet and everything to go to their apartment?
Tony, this project is asking for a 30% reduction.
Okay, all right. I understand the reduction, but for those people who are parked, I'm just asking that question. I mean, how do you go from, suppose I have a space.
You cross the street, which you activate the streetscape, which means that you stop at the drugstore, you stop at the retail.
Okay, but
you're activating the ground level.
Okay, where in that along Northwest First Avenue would this occur? Right there, where is there something that from a design?
Yes, we're working with Public Works to get a crosswalk implemented mid-block.
Okay, so that's my question. That's my point. That there should be something that maybe has a cover along the sidewalk or something, that the experience of enjoying the store, as Willie is suggesting, is not a daily event. The daily event is go back and forth from where you were to your apartment. That's your daily routine, all right? I think there should be something major, like a celebration of some sort of like a connectivity between the two buildings that is like poor in this. It's even, I don't know. There should be something very special connecting the two buildings.
Mm-hmm.
If I could also just make a comment, we have discussed the ability to put in a bridge like Mr. Lewis had mentioned and recommended. That particular option would require City Commission approval separately and apart from the design. So it's not being included now because that has a separate process for it, but it has come up from time to time on discussion as that, including that potential option.
Yeah, the bridge would not include the enjoyment of the cityscape or the city activity as much as the solution of walking on Northwest First Avenue, the pedestrian crossing. But that pedestrian crossing should be a major component of your project. I would have enjoyed you.
I think we should help them with making sure the record does reflect our recommendation to integrate a pedestrian bridge and facilitate the commission approval. And, we integrate elements such as a pedestrian bridge frequently. And you identify it is contingent upon, of course, commission approval or other. But it's great to know that you've integrated that as an element already. And
my personal feeling is, allow me to disagree with you, Dean, regarding a bridge. A bridge is a very major element that, I don't know, I would prefer that people would walk on the street and cross the street, but that crossing should be special, should be something that, the bridge is a very lonely way to, you don't see anything. You just have like boom, boom. I don't know. Maybe it applies more to a higher density, to a different.
Depends how you're using it, whether it be the City of Miami Beach building department, parking garage bridge to the main building, and whether it be the other Wynwood passerelles.
Yeah.
And they're open and they're covered from rain, but they're open. You have the view. You're active with the street at level 2. This is not a sky bridge, and I connect my to my gardens, my courtyard.
Well,
it's a critical component there. So
and
the
actually,
residents,
I want to point out.
My comment is that the presentation of this project, although it was an extraordinarily professional presentation, failed to point this element that to me is like really of major substance to the project.
Well, one thing I want to point out in that matter, and sorry if I missed this, but the City of Miami is still designing a winner for Northwest First Avenue, and so this is going to become a curbless street.
Wonderful, but that it should have been.
It's been a little bit difficult. We asked for plans, but we don't have plans of it yet. It's underway, my understanding, and so we've designed it as a streetscape today with that location, but there's a couple of variables, so we have to sort of play it, in a manner that it can go both ways, without being overdoing it, right?
But I hope you understand the nature of my comment, though.
Yes, absolutely. That I do agree that connection should be celebrated in some manner, and maybe it's not even a solution that has to be so man-made. Maybe it's a solution where we put 2 specimen trees at that location that are colorful.
Anything.
Sometimes a landscape solution is more elegant in this sense.
Correct.
If I may jump in here, I agree, Ray, and you guys done a great job. I like the building. I like the whole project, completely. Really, you've done a great job. And I agree with a lot of these comments. Can you go, there's only one thing that's bothering me, and I think we already addressed it, but can you go to one of the renderings that you have, please?
Is there a particular one?
Give me one that you see post, you know what I see there? I see not a painted stucco, I see a precast concrete building. And, that's, when I saw this, I saw it as like a precast build, material that would be, with the forms that you have. I was a bit disappointed to hear the painted stucco, to be honest. Other than that, I think, I like it because it's different and the materials and the colors and everything. That was my only, now that you went through the presentation, I wish it would be a more substance material. And when I first saw it, a precast is what came to mind. Other than that, I think this is a great project. I'm ready to make a motion for approve the project with, the friendly amendment that my colleagues will have.
This is Robin Bosco. Before we go on to approving, I have one clarification I'd like from Raymond. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Ray, first, I'd like to commend you and your firm on an excellent project, and I sympathize with the issues of the color and what have you. But in your presentation, you did some discussion on these mural walls and which ones would have, as the area developed, become less plain blank walls and have adjacent buildings to them. Could you elaborate on that? And the reason I'm saying is Again, we talked about the fading of paint and the colors, but these big mural walls, if they're going to remain exposed, I'm concerned about their permanency and the intricacies of, them and the possibility of articulating them a little more than just the painted colors.
I think that with the mural walls, they typically have a lifespan to them, and that when it becomes time, they're often painted over with a new mural. When you go through Wynwood today, the same murals, you never really see the same murals there all the time. It's sort of a constant revolving condition. So the placement of them is intended that, for what we know now, there are no planned projects currently abutting any of these red locations. But in other instances, there are planned projects. This was one of them that I was pointing out, where only half of this wall is having a proposed mural because there is a residential project abutting this side. So we've only planned it to be on the one side that makes sense. But yeah, you're correct in the sense that the mural doesn't last forever. So it, like anything, it needs to be updated or retouched up.
But again, are your building masses, I don't have the site plan in front of me, but are they on the property line there, or do you have enough of a buffer for, repainting and what have you?
No, they are on the property line. These are interior lot lines.
So, you, in terms of
with the exception of the mural located along Northwest First and the one located on top of the building that encloses the overruns and mechanical areas.
But what kind of maintenance issues do you have when you are right up on a property line and, there's no maintenance easement or what have you with the adjacent project? I understand once a building's
eventually someone will build there, but for the time being, we're placing a mural at that location.
When you say eventually, which walls or mural walls do you see eventually being covered? All of them?
Eventually, it's the largest ones. This one here and this one here. Eventually, these will get murals. I mean, these will get buildings adjacent to them.
Okay.
But they're currently not planned, is what I'm saying.
Okay, so again, because of the presentation, we're looking at one view and the other, but we're getting duplicates of the mural. So the major mural walls eventually will have adjacent development right up against
them. Yes.
Right. Okay, well, that takes care of it. But again, I commend you and your firm on the excellent project.
All right, with that in mind, then I make a motion for approval with whatever.
Robert, we haven't heard from Lydia.
Oh, I'm sorry, my apologies.
I mean, unless she has no comments.
Okay. My comment is, to congratulate Raymond on the thorough presentation. I have to say, at first sight, the project did seem a little out of place. I think the explanation where you as far as materials, can go either way on the stucco. I think the fact that this is Miami, despite being Wynwood and having this industrial look and feel out of place, but that would really be my only comment. Other than that, I think I echo my colleagues' sentiment on the connection of the two buildings. Having lived through that in downtown, I know what it's like to go from the parking garage, which is a block away from your high rise, and it's uncomfortable. So, how you can handle that transition and that connection, I think, would be important to the success of the project. But otherwise, it's a great project. That'll be all.
Robert, would you like to make your motion?
I'll make a motion for approval, and I'll welcome whatever friendly recommendation, suggestion my colleague has.
Well, I think one of them was from Anthony, and well, there were, I guess there are two. They all deal with the connection, and I guess Ligia is also re-emphasizing the importance of the connection between the two building blocks. I believe that they took two venues. One was at the ground level by this cross block, and re-emphasizing that by the pavement, by the landscaping, and by, I would say, street furniture, all the visual imagery that allows people to see the connection between the two and in a convenient and safe way. And I think Dean suggested even the possibility of a bridge connection between the two. I'm assuming that we're allowing the applicant and the architect to resolve those and to come up with the best of those solutions. I believe, Robin, was there something else from your side on the treatment of the skins that take the artwork, or was it more just a query on how it was being done?
Well, it was both of those, but again, they are massive walls, and in terms of even a form of breaking up that massing in addition to the mural application, the two-dimensional, giving it, with the scribe joints or what have you, some other visual shadow relief would be recommended.
Agree.
The emphasis I suggested in the vertical dimension of the upper floors, whether it be stretching the parapets or other, to further emphasize his dialogue of shifting L volumes, could be complementary. However you want to word that.
And the issue of the painted stucco?
That to me is the biggest,
Consider a richer real material. Yeah.
The item of the paint, and obviously we approve a zillion projects that are all painted stucco. So the question is, well, why do we bring it up here? And I'll tell you, I guess from my perspective, I love this project. I love its coloring. I love its context. I love the recall of that entire Wynwood area of Miami, which has always been industrial. I mean, I don't know how else to describe the railroad yards and all the industrial warehouses that were what made Wynwood. So the only thing is that as I look at this, it reminds me of a lot of the urban areas that I would see in, Lower Manhattan and New York and Chicago and Philly. And I like it because I've lived in all those cities. And so I like what they're doing. But when you do the painted stucco, the elegance that I see here, I wonder how long it will stay and whether it will even be executed correctly even from day one. So I have a concern with that painted stucco, particularly when you're dealing with the terracottas, with the deep red tones and even the bluer gray, which we all know. I mean, if you do real concrete work here is pretty lousy. So whether it's a precast or actual stone veneer, to have the crispness of the color and the execution that is shown in the renderings, I believe the project is going to suffer with that color palette in a painted stucco scenario. So that's that. I don't want to prescribe it, but you have the attorneys, you have the developer, everybody listening in, and I think I don't know if it was Dean or Ignacio Permuy who highlighted the fact that they've done a number of things that are costly, that are not really, from a commercially speaking, scenario, something that you do when you're trying to be frugal. So when you do single loaded corridors, when you step back and drop and create multiple courtyards, I mean, those are all very nice, expensive things that are being done for the benefit of not only the project, but really of the city. And so you're doing all of this, but then you're not taking care of the skin of the building. That's a concern. And I would hope, I heard Ray describe that it was kind of intentional, that he was kind of figuring that as the color would fade, it would give it those different patiness. And those words sound nice now, but when you see the fading and you see possibly cracking in such a big building and the movement, the stucco, then it doesn't, then you start thinking about it in a different light. So
yes,
I
and
would say the issue of color is one that I would like the architect to
we can
think
study
about.
the color and we can work. Yeah, we can study the color. I hear your comments, and you know, I take them gladly, and so we'll study the color palette, and you know, we can further that.
Yeah, Ray, it's not so much it's not like I'm saying I don't like terracotta and I don't like the combination. The combination is elegant.
It's the material, not the color.
It's the material, and how you can really execute that and get what you're really looking for. That's the issue.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I need to leave the meeting.
We're gonna make it. We're gonna do a roll call right now, Robert.
Okay.
Okay. If there are no other comments,
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Ray, you're not going to be happy with the stucco work. It's just not consistent enough. Building after building, quality building after quality architect and developer, the stucco traditional applied methodology is just not consistent. It's bumpy, and you're not going to be satisfied. Take a look, and I know you know what I'm talking about.
so not to lose Robert
Noted.
Bailey, I'd like for him to vote on this, if it's okay with everybody.
I need clarification on what the recommendations actually are. So far, what I have is, the only one that was clear to me was the connection between the two building blocks, either at the ground level at the crosswalk or to integrate pedestrian bridge.
We're asking him to look at both.
Yep.
We're asking him to look at both. I think the group feels that the issue of connection of the two needs to be
Stronger,
dealt with
better, more functional.
in a better way and fine tune. He needs to look at the whole universe. And the other issue was the issue of the material from painted stucco to something that will be more long lasting and truer to the color palette that he has in mind.
That's two. And then there was the one with the artwork that I believe Mr. Bosco and Dean commented to.
Yes, that instead of the artwork in those, to think of detailing in terms of the stucco in those walls that are going to be later covered up. But so not just it's an art piece, but consider the wall itself.
Okay. Do we have a second to the motion?
Second?
So it's seconded by Permui, motion made by Mr. Behar. Can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Behar?
Yes.
Mr. Permui?
Yes.
Mr. Bosco?
Yes.
Mr. Santis?
Yes.
Ms. Labrada?
Yes.
Mr. Brumello?
Yes.
And Mr. Lewis?
Yes, last but not least.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you so much, everyone. This has actually been quite fun having a Zoom board meeting, but
Congratulations, Iris.
I
Ray,
did.
congratulations.
Iris, why do you have a
I like your mural, Iris.
thank you. It's like a blueprint. You know, I was trying to do something funky.
Very, very apropos. A happy 4th of July celebration to all of you. Please stay safe and follow the guidelines.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay healthy, folks.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to see everybody.
To Ray Ford, congratulations, and that employment offer is still open. And I told your dad that you should come over.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Willie.
Okay, Mr. Romello, before the meeting ends, we have to make a motion to end the meeting.
Oh, yes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion
Second.
to adjourn.
Seconded by
Made by
who?
Mr. Zamzis and seconded by Mr. Permui. All in favor?
Yes,
Aye.
aye.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice and happy
you.
holiday.
Thank you.